Cool. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, start it. How's everyone doing this fine Sunday afternoon? Well, I guess like Sunday afternoon, yeah, per se. We are PS Comics. I love you. I'm one of your hosts, JR Kapakun, aka the Dark King. And to my, I'm hoping my left, if he got this figured
I'm
out.
over here.
Yeah, over here, on this side right here, we have Kevin Pillow
at the front of the line,
aka also known as
the voice of reason.
Yes,
just gotta make sure everything's on silent mode.
Yeah,
What's up, guys? This is episode 14. We kind of hinted at the end of last week's episode that we were going to do a little bit of the history of diversity and the evolution of diversity in comic books, but man, did we get hit with a Mack truck on Friday night.
That's crazy.
I don't know where to begin, because part of me goes from the human being standpoint. We lost a damn good human being, who probably right now in the current state of social, I really hate to use the word social justice because it's almost been,
it's like a weird
demonized.
It's like a weird caricature. Like it's been like it's caricature of itself now.
Yeah,
it's sad.
In the goings on of the world today, in race relations, we could use more Chadwick Boseman.
Absolutely.
And so from a standpoint of what's going on today, we lost a damn good human being. From an entertainment standpoint, we lost a A-list phenomenal actor, performer, and come to find out, probably a future philanthropist and a goodwill ambassador. The guy could do it all. But we lost a top-tier talent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the genre movie industry. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of people share the sentiment, we lost a superhero. We lost what's pretty damn close to a real-life superhero. Chadwick Boseman died at the age of 42, 43. 44. I know people somewhere in that range. People were saying 43, but I know his birthday was in November. Colon cancer, 4-year fight with colon cancer, was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016. Think about that. Put that in perspective. The guy was finishing Black Panther, was getting ready to do Infinity War and Endgame. I believe he also he did 12 Bridges. Which I haven't seen yet. I want to see. That was, of course, produced by the Russo brothers, who brought you the last two Avengers movies. But yeah, I mean, what the guy put himself through over the last 4 years. And
it's crazy. Just for those, well, we were all kind of caught off guard because we have a guy who was battling colon cancer for 4 years, and he kept it pretty quiet. Like there was hardly people knew about it, right? He kept it very close to chest. Close. His family knew. I don't know if any of the Marvel family knew. I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige had to know. I'm pretty sure
he had to have known.
He had to have known. I'm pretty sure a lot of the maybe some higher execs knew about it because you get physicals taken, nearly for every movie, and you have to have these things, checked out. I understand that, but dang, man, just to have the amount of like physical toll on your body, because I don't know about you, man, but the last couple of days now, I've been just rewatching interviews about him.
Yeah, one of the cool videos that I've seen was he did an interview on XM satellite radio about 3 years ago. And it was right after Black Panther came out. And it was from kids battling cancer. And he talked about these letters he would get about how his portrayal of King T'Challa, aka Black Panther, helped motivate them, helped get them ready, mentally and physically ready for battling cancer. And he talked about how it brought him so much pride and and humbled him in that these kids were battling this disease, and that his movie helped them,
Yeah.
push on. And here's a guy who's battling his own fight, and it's
Yeah.
like, and I mean, we're talking right in the midst of it. And just the fact that, I mean, you look at the resume, and he really had a murderer's row of performances over the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, what put him on the
On the map.
precipice, on the
Yeah.
map, was his portrayal of Jackie Robinson in 42.
Yep.
Some kind of pan the movie, but I thought it was good. I've seen, I haven't seen it from beginning to end. I've just never been in the right time to watch it, because I know it's a really hard movie to watch,
Yeah.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not ready for my kids to have to see the reality of the Jackie Robinson story. But I've told them the story.
Yeah.
Being a Dodger fan, Jackie being one of my top 3 favorite players of all time, it was an important movie. I just haven't got to chance, but what little I saw of it just was like, bro, it hit home, and he hit. But it was funny. It was Jackie's. The Major League Baseball celebrates Jackie Robinson Day. I think it's his birthday in April.
Yeah.
And there was a video that Chadwick Boseman put out back in April.
Yep.
And he was super skinny, and people were worried about him, that we're in the midst of this pandemic, and thought, maybe, did he get it? Is he stressing, or is it just him preparing for a role? Because he had a lot of he was doing a Vietnam War movie at the time.
Yeah, with Spike Lee.
And so we didn't know, but people were, and then there were some people that were clowning on him, saying that he was abusing drugs, but little did we know, guy was fighting cancer.
I've seen the aftermath of that video, and just how people are getting called out now just for saying, the horrible derogatory remarks said about the man, he's on drugs, he's on this and that, like all this crap. And like, you don't know a person's struggles, you don't know a person's battles that they don't show to you up front. And it sucks that people had this type of vitriol towards anybody who's just basically kind of like are in the fight, right? And it's just really eye-opening to see that we have King T'Challa pass away on us, man. It sucks, man. And of course, for those who also know, he has a huge freaking, like, his body of work.
Oh yeah,
is immense. He also played, of course, he played James Brown in Get On Up.
Get On Up.
He played he was very established. He was a very established actor. He was very pivotal for our time, and he was, of course, the very first. No, I can't say the very first. Yeah, but he led a nearly all black cast, and was basically the first African American film to gross over $1 billion. One
of the highest grossing movies of all time. I think it's in the top
all
3.
Time. Yeah, it's top.
I think it's number 3.
For Marvels, yes, but I think it's top 5.
Yeah, it is one of the highest grossing films of all time. Yeah, but I'll pull it up. But
1.7 billion or something. That's a crazy mess number, and that shows so much validity in just who King T'Challa, how much heritage, that you can show culture to the masses, and it can be widely accepted, and it can be profitable per se.
Number 4.
Yeah, there you go, number 4. Because this actually, I kind of wanted to just a bit to pivot onto, because this was supposed to be, our points were like, has diversity been working in today's age, in the sense of like not just representation, which we all absolutely, I agree, we need, but it's more so like, is then proper representation that is being shown, can you try to word this delicately, is it marketable, or can we have another one, like that? Like, is it enough for not just for the filmmakers that are there that really put their heart and soul into this thing, as well as the actors? Is it profitable enough for them to make another one, to keep on doing this stuff? Because that's the age-old question, man. Like, as much I do love that Black Panther set a big precedent on everything.
Yeah.
but then at the same time, we also got to look back. There is certain bullet points to that. One, it's a big Marvel movie. It's
Yep.
back from Disney, and Disney Marvel in the last 10 years, specifically with the superhero genre, have been propelling this huge love and this huge intrigue, just wanting to get into superhero movies. And so,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely does not take away anything that Black Panther has done.
No.
It's just that, like, for every Black Panther we also have, like, Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey didn't really do too great.
Didn't do great, but is that on? Does that fall on the cast, or does that fall on poor writing, poor directing, poor development?
That's definitely a question I would love to be answered. Hopefully, sometime within this podcast. Just more well, it's kind of some points I put out here, because when the heart, like, it's not widely known, but it's been said before that one of the harsh realities in Hollywood is that, or in entertainment, is that having diversity doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be profitable or popular, sadly.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at, like, because I understand, like, being Asian, I understand that. Like, for me, right, even though Crazy Rich Asians wasn't necessarily my jam, because that's more so on Eastern Asians and not more so Southeastern Asians, and that's a whole different type of, like, demographic and a whole different type of, like, I guess, identity politics in that regard, right? Crazy Rich Asians was cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was cool, but, like, it wasn't that astounding, super popular. We're gonna get, like, 6-7 other Asian cast. We're gonna have, like, a full-on Filipino Asian cast now. It wasn't necessarily like that. I'm glad that it's getting 2 more movies at least.
I didn't know it was getting more. It's a good movie. Yeah,
it's a good movie. It's a your basic rom-com movie where you find out that his parents have money, or his mom has money, basically, and it's
here's I was gonna say, here's the thing with, but we'll kind of put a ribbon on Chadwick Boseman. Our condolences go out to his family and his friends and to everyone. As we always say, Wakanda forever, King T'Challa. And we go from here. They are going to do a second Black Panther movie. How are they going to handle it? Recast? Are they going to have T'Challa still in the movie? Do they completely have to? Or you do the approach of you maybe do a little creative editing, you use some past voices, and you kill them off in respectful fashion, and you coronate the inevitable in
recasting.
In Letitia Wright's Shuri. In the comic book, Shuri becomes Queen of Wakanda, and she becomes the Black Panther. And I wish I had my books. I have that book. Was a great find by my wife at Amazing Con last year. But that's a question that will probably be answered sometime in phase 4. But Brian, point is, and this is our woke episode, as JR so eloquently labeled it in our show notes. That is,
I guess, or enlightenment episode, I guess.
It is diversity in pop culture and comic books and whatnot. And right off the bat, does diversity, because it's been said, and I know that there was an article that came out this morning about, just to make something fresh, there was an article that came out about the New Mutants movie that got released in theaters. I know there are some states in some areas of the United States that are allowing theatrical releases, and New Mutants came out and did a dismal $8 million over the weekend, which is, for a comic book movie, even a bad comic book movie, that is a tank job. Yeah. But what do you got? 90% of the theaters are closed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like that, and like streaming services too. Like, what can you do?
Yeah.
And not only that, but like the movie's been in limbo for like the last 5 years. So there's that as well.
And one of the complaints from the creator of New Mutants was once again, because I guess there's one of the characters, I can't remember which one it is a Latino character, and or it's in the original comic book is supposed to be a person of color, more dark, maybe a Latin character, and they said that the character in the movie is a little bit more toned down, as this person put it. And they said, once again, the whitewashing of Hollywood. And I get that. I mean, I get the whitewash. We saw it with animated features with Disney back in the 90s, where
Dragon Ball.
With Dragon Ball, well, but with like characters like
Avatar.
Aladdin, like you have like characters in your movie, in your list here, like Aladdin, the original Aladdin character, which as a kid, you don't look at like, oh, Aladdin's a white dude. Like, isn't he supposed to be Middle Eastern? Like, I didn't care. I didn't look at the skin color. I listened to the story and the story that it told. And that's one of the reasons why I actually enjoyed the remake of Aladdin. I think they did a pretty good job in the casting. But I get the whitewashing, but at the same time is that has backfired on people, on critics and the SJW, the social justice warriors, that just to put a period on this point is you look at how they handled Danny Rand. So many people were bitching and complaining about casting a poster child white boy to play Danny Rand, a martial arts expert called the Iron Fist.
Yeah. And having not
known that the character in the comic book is a rich white dude.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's kind of backfired in some cases where they have to go, be really careful.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like, so one of the big examples too, like when Ghost in the Shell happened, right?
Yes.
Ghost in the Shell movie, right? It's for those who don't know, Ghost in the Shell is an animated or is a Japanese IP. It's been in. I'm a huge fan of it. Mokoto Kusanagi, main character. She's an android, and she's a Japanese android. And
comic book too, correct?
Yeah, it's a comic book. I guess, yeah, I can say it.
Yeah,
but it's also it's mainly in manga, mainly in anime. And
yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she runs this government group, I forget, like SAC, I forgot what it's called exactly. And when that translated into a film, one, I was just happy that it was a film and that we're getting live action, and two, it stars Scarlett Johansson. And as an Asian person, I had to say this. I was disappointed that one, we couldn't get a prominent Japanese actress, and two, I understood why.
Yeah.
Because one, what prominent Japanese actress we can have that has the acting chops per se to carry an action movie?
Yeah.
Two, I understand why it's Scarlett Johansson, because it's Scarlett Johansson. It's the name. I definitely understand the fact that that Ghost in the Shell is a very, very, very niche, even in anime, a very niche, very niche product. You hardly find huge fans, or I can't say hardly, but like there isn't a huge fan base of of people who know technical guns and androids and like semi futuristic storytelling in police dramas per se, right? It's generally a police / like spy drama. Well, I can't say it's spy drama, but it's in the same genre.
Yeah. And
that's a very niche market. So when you try to market that towards the Western civilization, towards Westerners, right? Like it was gonna freaking tank anyway. I was surprised that it got what it got in the theaters, and
I can kind of think of one reason why it did pretty well in the theaters.
It's Scarlett Johansson.
It's Scarlett Johansson. There was some
bodysuit. They here, the bodysuit and all that stuff. That wasn't the original anime. The original 1990-ish original like anime movie, right? Yeah. It was in there. They try to bridge like 3 of those movies into one, and I understood why. I definitely understand why they had to have Scarlett Johansson. You had to have the big name. Try to watch the movie because no one else is gonna watch it. We're marketing it to white people basically, and because this is the majority of the populace.
Yeah, and I would have rather if it was a genre film. And I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. Was if I knew more about what, and I did some research on it when I read about the backlash.
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, well then, yeah, but who the main character is in the original IP, Scarlett Johansson's a bad choice. It's not the right choice for her. And it goes back to just like, let it. I mean, I would rather, and this is where, and I get criticized and oh, okay, as a white guy, is I look at a character and I go, I'm all for diversity. I'm all for tweaking the character to see if it works.
Yes.
Or adapting a version. Okay, going back to the idea, Johnny Storm in the recent Fantastic Four movie being casted by Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, that kind of jocularity of his personality coming out, perfect Johnny Storm. He's a good actor. I just think it was too much to one side. Scarlett Johansson playing what's obviously supposed to be a Asian kind of anime style character, being played by right now Hollywood's poster white girl, amazing actress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't the right pick,
I understand, like, this has to come to context too. Like, I understand why they took it, why they chose her, because once she did Lucy, she was off the heels of, I think Avengers 2, and so they thought, the highest, technically at the time, she was the highest build. She was like the highest build female actress out there.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was the big get for Ghost in the Shell, because one, it shows legitimacy, right? We're serious about, having, a possible franchise of Ghost in the Shell with the action oriented star.
Yeah.
I get that. I understand that makes sense. And so when people try to bring in, why can't you find an Asian American? Why can't you find a Japanese American, a legitimate Japanese actress? Name me one Japanese, one to two or five. I'll say three. Name me three Japanese action female actresses right now that off the top of your head.
And I can't definitively say like, oh, that person is Japanese, right? I'd sound like a racist, because I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, like that person's whatever.
Yeah.
Here's where this is where this is the problem I have with Hollywood, for two reasons. Number one, you still have executives who are gobbling up IPs, grabbing up books and properties, and going, okay, this is hot right now. For a note here, you have some of the notes, like
trends.
The Vampire Diaries, or Twilight, the Walking Dead, the Hunger Games, Maze Runner, Divergent, those kind of movies. Just grab them up and then just slap. Okay, let's see the biggest names we can get.
Yeah.
And put and force them in there, rather than, why not cast the best character for the movie and let the audience decide? If it flops, it flops. If it does success, boom, you have a secret hit. And guess what? You can come under budget by not having A-list actors.
Yeah.
Case in point. Wolverine. Everyone wanted Danny DeVito. They wanted this. They wanted that. They went with this 6'4" Australian, who, if you've ever seen any of the behind the scenes, and there's a series on Marvel's YouTube channel that's hosted by, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name now. He's one of the editors in chief for Marvel. He interviews Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman said, I thought that the character was like, I was studying wolves, and like I didn't know that the Wolverine was actually a real character, was a real animal, which it is. And who would know? Hugh Jackman was a nobody. He was a stage actor, and they took a gamble on him. And you look at almost the entire cast of the original X-Men movie, with the exception of oh my gosh, the guy who plays Charles Xavier.
Oh yeah,
Sir Patrick Stewart.
As well as Ian McKellen.
And Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
And Halle Berry, Ian McKellen, and Sir Patrick Stewart were the three big names.
Yeah. And
even then, Ian McKellen, what had he done to that point? And an A-list style thing. Patrick Stewart hadn't done Star Trek Next Generation. He'd done a couple of the Star Trek movies, but really was not like I was not on everyone's radar, but he fit the role perfectly.
Yeah.
Like I said, Hugh Jackman, at first I was like, oh, this guy, Wolverine's short and
Yeah.
stocky. He ended up hitting a home run with that character, and they took a gamble. Fox took a gamble and casted. Same thing with Sony. Was like they with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gosh darn it, what's his? The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Toby.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
he was kind of a big name, but
yeah,
it was still a gamble.
Yeah,
he wasn't a teenager.
I mean, I gotta look at that. I put it down there in notes, and that was actually going to be one that we'll actually talk about that later, but the trends and stuff, right? But like to talk about like Tobey Maguire as well as to definitely talk about Wolverine, is that absolutely like at the same time as well, like we got to look back to where what was that point in time for comic book movies, right? They were still pretty niche. I mean, the biggest comic book movie at the time, right? The most well represented one at the time was still going to be Superman. Was still going to be Christopher Reeves. Was still very much in that realm, because I think also that was like maybe for before the first X-Men, it was like maybe a couple of years removed from the last Batman movie, right?
Well, let's take a look. I have the numbers up here because Spider-Man is still one of the highest grossing films. The original Spider-Man is still one of the highest grossing films of all time.
Spider-Man 2,
and
probably the best.
I think it was like that came out like 99 or something like that. Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man was 2002. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's because 99 was X-Men. 99 was X-Men.
Yeah, 99 2000 was X-Men, and so but before that though, the comic book genre it was Batman
and Superman.
Superman even then, because Superman hadn't done Superman Returns. Yeah. That was 2006, 2007 with Brandon Routh, but like you had Batman Forever, Batman and Robin were the latest superheroes. The Blade movies were doing well, and then you had some of the other like small niche comic book movies. But to go back to my point was like with to fill the void, and this is the challenge that I think that has been fallen Kevin Feige, is finding the right character, finding the right actor for the role.
Yeah.
But seeing if I can get an A-lister.
Yeah.
And like I said, Chadwick Boseman, who was really at that point was Jackie Robinson. The James Brown movie was not a huge success. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I had forgotten that he even did that role. Mm-hmm. So really, 42 brought him to the forefront, but he wasn't up here yet. He wasn't up here. He was getting there. He was as they say, a rising star. And they went off. They went out of left field and went, that guy's perfect for T'Challa. Goodness gracious. Like Tom Holland for Spider-Man. Thinking outside the box. Kevin Feige does a good job at thinking outside the box, but at the same time, taking a gamble. Hiring a Zendaya to play MJ. We don't know if she's actually Mary Jane Watson, but she's MJ.
Yeah.
But
I gotta say that, like, to kind of interject in that, like, that's just that I gotta look at that as the Disney / Marvel thing. Like they built that from 10 years of process, right? Like T'Challa didn't come around till like what 2015?
Civil War was 2016. I think actually, I don't know if it was before or after his diagnosis.
It should have been before, actually. I think so. But like, that's around Civil War 2, and
2000 would have been 2016 because that was when that's when I first started collecting comics, and that was when Civil War 2 came out. Yeah, you're right.
So that's about 6 years already of the Marvel freaking steamroller just going through, and you have legitimacy because one, you got you basically remade Chris Evans, you redefine RDJ, and so you have these two megastars already, right?
Yeah.
In your ball pen, just knowing how to get people in, right? You have, and then I'll give you having Chris Hemsworth. He was a crazy get. Him out of nowhere was crazy. But this was built on, Kevin Feige, his choices, him getting RDJ was the best choice.
Oh, yeah.
or let's say whoever the casting director was for Marvel in that context, them getting RDJ was the best choice ever because it helped them fall in line, it helped them fall in line to get the proper people, right? And that's just because one, they're Disney, and they're Marvel, and two, they got Disney money now at that point. And so when I look at the other publishing houses or the other studios, I don't see that same leeway because like okay, you're DC, maybe DC now can do it, but DC 5 years ago, definitely not.
Yeah.
Could they have chosen a better Superman? Probably. Could they have chosen a better Batman rather than Ben Affleck? Possibly. Could they have chosen a better Wonder Woman? Maybe.
But
But Gal Gadot's been doing great as of so far, right? Gal Gadot's been great. Like other than like maybe
the 100 pounds that she doesn't have on.
Like that's if you want to talk about representation, man, you get a supermodel become Wonder Woman, the badass freaking one Amazonian chick looking less than 100 pounds. You want that to be a proper representation of how your daughter should look like?
Yeah.
But that's another topic.
Gal Gadot, I think, has got the acting chops, and she has and again, that's a gamble that they took, was thinking outside the box with the character. And the more and more I thought about it, it was like, is there somebody out there that could have looked like Diana Prince, that could be a good actress, that can carry the movie, and look like that? And the only one I can think of, but she's a little busy right now, is oh my gosh, I just completely forgot her name, from The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about The Mandalorian?
Yeah. Was it Kara? What's her name? The main lead, the MMA fighter that was also in Deadpool and.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking about different Mandalorian because it's Marvel. But like yeah, I know what you're talking about. Her, yeah. But like at the same time, she wasn't that big of a name either, and
she wasn't.
And like she was in maybe when Wonder Woman came out. That was what 2017, I think, when Wonder Woman came out.
Something like that.
She was barely in movies, and she was getting pigeonholed anyway because she's an MMA fighter, and she rough and tumbly, and for freaking Hollywood being stupid asses at the time, we need very dainty, beautiful looking women, and she didn't fit the freaking horrible beauty standards set today of fucking Western civilization, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I could rant on about that forever, man. But going back onto the point of like just having like the right roles, especially when it came to like choosing the right people, actors per se, for your role, man. It's like me. I don't know how I feel about Brie Larson being Captain Marvel.
I'm back and forth on it because she embraced the role. She was one of those people, and like I said, you and I being comic collectors, we're familiar with other stores and the stories behind them, and we know everyone's familiar with Golden Apple out there in LA, and that is the go-to spot that a lot of actors
now specifically
go to right after they get out of their meeting. They've been offered the role, the role of a lifetime. One of my favorite stories to tell was there was an actor. I just completely drew a blank on his name. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
John Bernthal.
And what's that?
John Bernthal?
Well, there's John Bernthal. But the movie I was thinking of was the guy who plays M'Baku for in Black Panther.
Yeah.
And he gets a call first off, and he said he goes to the casting, the meeting. Winston Duke, by the way, great actor. I always forget his name. He's got a cool name. Goes to a meeting, and he goes, "What's it for?" He goes, "It's for a Marvel movie." And he's thinking, like, well, I'm a big black dude. They already casted Luke Cage, so like, what are they gonna? So they say, like, you're gonna be in Black Panther, and he's like, oh, and he goes, but you're not playing Black Panther. And he goes, oh, he's like, well, yeah, at that point they already casted Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
He goes, they got this. He said, we're going to cast you as this guy M'Baku. And he goes, I'm a comic book fan, but he's like, I don't know this character. So he goes, okay, you're in. Sign the dotted line. He leaves. and he immediately goes to Golden Apple because everyone had heard these stories. Go here to, because they got all the books.
Yeah.
He walks into Golden Apple. The guy who owns the shop is putting stuff on the shelf. He looks over, grabs it off the shelf, puts it on the counter, and he goes, "Here, this is all you're going to need." He goes, "For what?" He goes, I know who you are." And he goes, "But you don't know what I'm here for." He goes, "Yeah, I do." And he looks down, and he immediately could tell, first appearance. And they're all M'Baku books. And he's like, I just came from the meeting. Like, how do you know? And he goes, he just Golden Apple knows. And so these guys, they do the research for the roles and stuff like that. They take it seriously. And Brie Larson did that. She was all in on the Captain Marvel to the point they're like, "Do you want me to cut my hair?" Because they were thinking at that time,
okay,
they had the Captain Marvel that had
the mohawks like slide
the mohawk,
the
the faux hawk, whatever. And like, no, that's not the story we're going to tell and stuff like that. So she started doing some research. So she embraced the role, but I think the problem was that I think she was too big of a gamble. She, she had gotten the Oscar nomination. She was a quote A-lister. So she was that happy medium, but I think she was almost too big of a gamble. But she does look the part, but at the same time, I think maybe a little bit taller. I don't know, but
it's just, I don't know, the Brie Larson one. I was initially happy with the casting when they announced it. What, 2018? I think that was when King Kong Skrull Island was happened to be, or something like that.
Yeah, which, by the way, good film, and she's good in that.
Yeah, she's good, and they brought her. I remember that they brought her out after the panel, like, "Oh, this is our new Captain Marvel." Like, "Oh snap, that's actually a really good choice." I thought that initially, and then I feel like for me to have at least some level of character, character semblance of the character that you're playing, you should at least act like the original character, right? That's my standpoint in everything, right? And this we'll have the same topic when we continue on, right? And to me, it didn't feel like Carol when she played her.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it.
It did not like her smaller parts in Infinity War, no, in Endgame, felt more like Captain Marvel, felt more like Carol than her actual origin story movie, to me. And so like I don't know if it was because the pacing and just how the vibe was per se from the director standpoint of how they wanted the film to look like. Oh, she's a very strong female character. We want to make it a little light and happy. That she'll have some internal struggle, but not really. She's never really in any trouble per se. Even when she's fighting per se, she's always a strong. I don't know if they wanted that. The soapbox, the soapbox moments where like you have your character and say, "Hey, no, she is the future. No one could fuck with her." And I have a problem with that because like, okay, then I can't necessarily root for this character when there's nothing really to root for if she's gonna win absolutely everything. Like where's the character progression in that? Where is the character arc or the hero arc in that for me? And when it came to during that time, Civil War II comic came out, right? And the Captain Marvel we read in Civil War II, vastly different. But I understand that character. She was fascist, semi-fascist, or pretty fascist actually. She wanted to lock people up for crimes they did not commit or were going to commit soon. She wanted utilitarianism happen about. She wanted control of absolutely everything. This was the Captain Marvel that I saw, that I understand that she wanted to do great for people, and she wanted to she was the villain she's the villain that's on your side. And I understood that. I gravitated to that because I know her character arc afterward is gonna be like, all right, no, we need to pull you out from that. You're gonna have to be, you're gonna have to be a hero where people can trust again, per se. This was not the Captain Marvel that we saw on the film. This wasn't even the Miss Marvel that we saw the last 10 years when Carol was Miss Marvel. And so like I don't know what they were trying. Was it that the whole Captain Marvel movie felt like it was just trend of like we need strong, powerful women in it. I'm like, we have that Wonder Woman. We had that in Scarlett Johansson. We've had that. So we have already so many of those women already in the Marvel movies, and just to have another one to it just felt a lot of like flag placing where you need
Yeah.
another woman character now to because now RDJ's gone. Now Chris Evans is gone, and so we have this woman now, and after that also like just the the things that she said afterwards too during the Captain Marvel, we call it the
Press stuff.
the press stuff she said about no about like that's I don't know if it was her dead I don't know if it was her deadpan humor because I understood that, but like that's kind of a bad taste per se.
I think with Brie,
Yeah.
and this goes to what's going on, and we'll move on to some of the other topics that we had. And when it comes to Brie Larson,
Mm-hmm.
I like the casting. I thought she fit. I thought she looked the role. She was
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to the role. The
Mm-hmm.
problem was they didn't allow the development of the character, the movie, a script.
Yeah.
I think they were too much wanting to plant that flag. They felt they were behind the eight ball. They didn't give Scarlett her own movie,
Mm-hmm.
which
Should have happened a long time ago.
I I want to wait and see, because who knows? Maybe Black Widow, they let the story breathe a little bit more. Because who was it thought?
Okay.
Because would we have? I think it actually makes more sense to do the Black Widow movie now, because she's gone in the main storyline. We can now go back and tell a quote prequel and tell her how we get there. And I understand you deal with now an older Scarlett Johansson, but I mean, come on, the girl does not age. She's
still Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, she's Scarlett Johansson. She ages well.
Yeah.
You've allowed that character to flesh out. You've made us care about her so much to the point that we wept for her in the theater when she died. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame.
Yeah, and they
that we are now so geeked. Oh, we get to see Scarlett back. We get to see Natasha back. Even though we know she's dead, but we get to see her come back, and we get her to almost have a swan song.
Yeah,
I think the problem that bit Brie Larson in the butt, and I think this goes to what the rumors are with Marvel, is that there was so much of an SJW push for it. Like I said, was we got to have a female director. We have to have a female writer. We have to have an all-female crew. And I think that you didn't flush out all of the nuances to the movie.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, amazing actor. But some of the fight sequences were a little, let's loosen up, put a little oil, a little wonky, because the dude's almost 60.
Yeah.
And he's trying to play a 30-year-old. He's trying to play a 20-year-old.
It's the go ahead, continue.
And at the same time I think it's really unfortunate that you wasted an opportunity to have Clark Gregg come back and play Agent Phil Coulson. And I think at this time, and I think looking back, some people probably would have allowed it to happen. I think you missed an opportunity not only to bring back, which I thought was cool. I liked having Phil Coulson in Captain Marvel. I wish that they would have been able to broaden his character a little bit more. I know he was just a recruit, but I also think it would have been kind of cool. Maybe you could have planted a few other SHIELD Easter eggs, having a Melinda May, because let's face it, we all know that Ming-Na Wen does not age. The girl, I mean, Ming-Na looks just like she did when she voiced Mulan back in the 90s. You could have had other little Easter eggs, like I said, in there, and the character, the little continuity errors that they made could have been flushed out a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm hoping for with Black Widow, is that any kind of continuity issues that they may have, even though it's a prequel, that it gets flushed out. They took their time, they let it breathe. And I think that's what bit Brie Larson in the ass, is that she was, we got to push her, we got to make her the forefront, like they did with Gal Gadot. But the problem with Wonder Woman was an established member of the Justice League. She was up there. It was Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the Trinity. I mean, that's what they were in DC.
Yeah, they still are.
But Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, she's only become a badass character in the last 10 years.
2012, like 2013. That was during the time where they had Marvel Now. Oh, yeah, Marvel Now, and it was Avengers Spider-Man 8 where they finally reveal her as Captain Marvel. I saw that. Like, I have that issue. I get that.
And
And it's
also, like,
good.
I'm sorry, one more thing is with Annette Bening being Marvel, which we know in the book was a male character. Was there? I actually didn't have a problem with that. The problem is that we were dealt a deal of good. We were dealt all this bullshit that it was going to be.
What's the name? Guy Ritchie's.
But oh my gosh.
Yeah. What's the name? I forgot his name too.
Jude Law.
Jude Law. Not Guy Ritchie. Jude Law.
Everyone, well, he's Guy Ritchie's guy.
Yeah.
But Jude Law, we're under the impression that Jude Law, a bill of goods, that he was going to be Marvel, and it was a swerve, kind of like with Iron Man 2, with Iron Man 3, with
Mandalorian,
with the Mandarin.
The Mandalorian.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I was thinking. We're Mandalorian and Marvel. What are you talking about?
It messes me up, dude. Yeah.
And it was an okay swerve because I think in the long run, with All Hail the King, just to chase a rabbit real quick, with the one shot All Hail the King, with them correcting the narrative without compromising what they did in Iron Man 3, because I actually thought the swerve was good. And I thought Ben Kingsley played a hysterical character in Trevor that we didn't see coming. But he did. He kind of got it, but it could have been so good. But then people would have said, "Oh, once again, it's whitewashing. You have this this white actor playing a Chinese." So Shang-Chi, wait and see what they do with the Mandarin. But going back, with oh my gosh, drew a blank.
Okay, so it's basically like just what they're going with Captain Marvel. For me, was for me kind of a disservice because, one, for those who don't know how Captain Marvel ended, he died from cancer. In the comic books. In the comic, he died from cancer, and that was a very pivotal story, and that helped kind of break. You can see some dots connect certainly between Captain Marvel in the later part of his life when he passed away from cancer with Jane being Thor in that context too. But like to me, it was a huge disservice because, one, you're just totally throwing this guy who did a lot of things in the comic world, in the comic book history of that, to basically just kind of have him be kind of a footnote, not even a footnote to the movies. And I get that, I understand that. You're the one thing that I truly hate, not truly hate, but like the one thing I truly have disdain for characters is that when you make them super overpowered with have no fault, when you Peggy Sue a character, it irritates me. Peggy Sue, of course, is like for those who don't know, it's the character that has the answer to everything, that can do absolutely everything. She's the Deus Ex Machina to every story. And there is a I forgot the male version of it too, but like there's a male version of that name too. But like Peggy Sue characters have been very prominent in the last 5-6 years now. The biggest one being Rey from Star Wars. Oh,
and that's another thing too. By the way, she's been the most prominent Peggy Sue, and that's where actually I learned the terminology. By the way, I think that the actress who played Rey,
great person,
great actress. She's
awesome
getting
person.
Shame on Hollywood; they're blacklisting her because of her performance.
Yeah.
However, supposedly she is voicing a video game with James McAvoy. I'll have to say anything. The story actually sounds really cool. I think it's called 15 Seconds. Okay. And it's very Memento kind of is that old Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh yeah.
Memento, where the guy is reliving it's like a combination of Memento and like Groundhog Day. He's reliving like the same 15 seconds over and over again or something like that. Or I can't remember, but she's doing the voice. But that's the only thing she could get in the last 6 months. I understand with the pandemic, but that's the only thing she could book because no one wants to hire her because of her performance as Rey, which I thought was good. I think maybe just the character wasn't fleshed out correctly.
Yeah, which they could have done much better for her.
Yeah,
they could have done much better for the character. I understood why though they needed to do it because when the who is the department head for majority of that stuff? I forgot her name.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy, and I understand they're pushing very much for the state of like having, you know, women be in the forefront. I get that, I understood that, but like you Peggy Sue a character, which is an established franchise that could have been so much better. If you want to build upon the world, right, having women on the forefront, you don't do it the way you don't do it in a way where it was kind of begrudging. It was that's a whole different podcast we talked about. We gotta get to our points, but like just the Peggy Sue characters or the overpowered characters, and there's a lot of overpowered male characters. We'll go on that topic hopefully soon as well. But to touch back on your topic of like having all these actors and actresses not getting roles for, you know, Daisy Ridley because of the Star Wars trilogy. There's also in Aladdin the main actor in Aladdin. He's not really getting stuff either too.
No.
And is it a trend then? There was a question I had a question. This thing is it a trend then, or is it a point of contention where you have these prominent, or you have these actors who are in these prominent roles now of having diversity, right? You have Aladdin being one. You have what's another one recently? You have Moana being one. You have what's another one? You have the voice actors to Coco and all this stuff. Like they're not really getting roles anymore. They were definitely in these huge and great, honestly for me, these great movies. But the roles after that are nowhere to be seen. Is that a representation of what Hollywood kind of is? Or like, cool, you're in that one movie, you're Aladdin in that one movie, but you don't have anything after that now. They're not gonna cast the Middle Eastern dude who did one great movie for Disney, and that was Disney's staple. Like, oh, you know, here is our representation in diverse movie. We did our part.
Well, they could always just do. They could do a live action version of Return of Jafar. You know, it's just if they're gonna redo the movies, just redo the bad ones too. No, and to go back to Daisy Ridley, and she's an amazing actress. Is you have to think about too is the stigma of Star Wars from the beginning, from 1977.
Very true.
Think about who got roles after that movie. Mark Hamill has really and truly, from a live action standpoint, has had a pretty shitty career. I mean, other than the fact that he played Cockknocker in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
That's right.
He's made a career of doing voice acting. You look at Harrison Ford is really the only guy who capitalized on it. James Earl Jones, he was a relatively unknown at the time, but he was a voice. Sir Ian, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. The guy that played Alec Guinness. Alec Guinness.
Oh yeah.
The guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi was a huge actor before. He was the big get. But you look at Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. Really didn't do much afterwards. She was not the big star. A lot of those, Peter Mayhew was just, you know, he was Chewie. But a lot of these guys didn't go on to do great things. And then you look at the prequels. What's her name? Went on and won an Oscar for Black Swan. Natalie Portman had a decent career. But Hayden Christensen had, I mean, Looper was probably his next big role, which actually he was good in.
It was decent, yeah.
But I think about too was like the guy who played Obi-Wan.
He had a pretty decent career.
He had a decent career, but it was before when he did play the Guy Ritchie stuff and or those kind of movies, like Train Spotting and stuff like that. I mean, he's had a so-so career. So I don't know if it's the stigma of it or typecasting, but you look at the guys like John Boyega. Yeah, he's gotten a couple of sci-fi roles. Daisy hasn't been casted.
Kylo Ren.
He's actually good. Yeah. He did the movie with Scarlett Johansson this past year, which was up for an Academy Award, but you do kind of have that stink of Star Wars on you, even though whether it's a good movie or a bad movie, you kind of have that stink on you a little bit that like, okay.
Unless you're a director and you're freaking Rian Johnson and you make, we call it Knives Out, which is a good movie.
Oh my gosh. So great.
I still dislike it. I still have a huge disdain towards Last Jedi, but his other movies, cool.
I think that I think for Rian Johnson, it wasn't a good fit. Good director, good creator, probably wasn't a good fit for Star Wars because he wanted to put too much of his own. It's kind of like,
narrative.
okay, it's too much like a Ryan Coogler, who's the director of Black Panther. He wants so much, great director, but wants so much to put his own taste on it. Same thing with the guy who was supposed to be the original Ant-Man director.
Oh yeah. I forgot his name, but he did Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I just had his name on the tip of my tongue. But he didn't. He wanted to put too much of his stank on it, and it could have been a great movie. Ant-Man could have been phenomenal, but you've got to do what Kevin Feige wants to do.
Edgar Wright.
What's that?
Wright.
Edgar Wright. But going. So yeah. Anyways.
Oh, small tip for me, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna do this Star Wars episode later on.
Yep.
Rian Johnson for me. I was in the movie. I was into Last Jedi until probably the last 30 minutes or so, 34 minutes, where everything became a half measure. That was my problem.
You want to know what the part I checked out on? The Mary Poppins scene. I was done. I checked out. I liked Rose. I'll say it. I liked the
actress who played her.
The player. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I liked the character. I was okay with it. But I didn't have a problem with anything that she did. I don't know. The movie just went too many different directions. Anyways, we could do a whole episode on Star Wars.
We'll go on that later. Yeah. You had a point. I forgot the point you had, but it was a great point. What does it mean then for we went so many down.
We went too many directions, and we were trying to get back to the wokeness.
Yeah, I know, dude. Okay, so no, good. Go.
I want to get right because I want to talk about the you had here on the notes the fleeting trend of stuff like this, but I think we kind of talked about that a little bit already.
Yep.
What I want to talk about is the diversity call in the movie standpoint, but I want to talk about diversity in comics as a whole. To kind of get back on the main topic, and we'll kind of go home on this is Marvel especially has made a career has made a you look at some of the greatest books of all time are diverse books. Black Panther, one of the first main African American superheroes. The Falcon was one of the first comic book characters to get he shared the book with Captain America, who was the tentpole for Marvel movies. You look at the Fantastic Four, albeit were four white characters, but you made the Invisible Woman. You made I can't think of her first name.
Which one?
Miss Marvel.
Susan Storm.
Susan Storm. You made Susan Storm. You made a female top billing in a book, and so the biggest diversity book, and it's how Marvel handled the civil rights movement in the 1960s is X-Men.
Yeah.
So diversity has always been there, and it's been handled correctly. It was never in your face. It was always kind of just subtle, and it wasn't until watching the X-Men movie in 2000 and I went back and I read some of the old X-Men, especially the Chris Claremont stuff. I was like, wow. Again, to steal the kid's word, I was woke. I was like, oh, X-Men is minorities. They're black. They're the African Americans. They're Latino Americans, they're Asian Americans that are looking for their place in the world in the 1960s and the 1970s.
Yep.
I know that wasn't Claremont back then, but I'm just saying that was a lot of Stan Lee and stuff like that. But Stan Lee was like, how do I dress this? How do I, without being overt, without being like in your face?
Yeah.
that it started back then, and and then that was their jumping off point, and then the X-Men became hugely popular. And I think that some people did catch that and went like, think about it, like put ourselves in today's society. If we're walking down the street in 2020
Mm-hmm.
and you knew that, we'll use for example, like that chick was basically Spider-Woman, you know, that she had the power to climb walls, so she was a superhero, or that she could have the power of Nightcrawler, she could jump from point to, you know, whatever, she had mutant powers. Would we treat her any differently? You know,
for quick reference, who don't know, who probably just tuning in, Chick is a comic book. He was a comic book shop owner in our residency. So
cheap plug, Comic Book Asylum, Comic Asylum Palm Desert. Go check it out.
Yeah, so it's her actual name is Chick. So we're not saying so.
We're not being chauvinistic.
Yeah.
But by the way, I feel bad for her because her name is Chicky, which doesn't help the cause. But which is funny. Is like sidebar. Whenever I go in there, I always go, "What's up, Chicky?" And
like people heads turn.
No, so I always call her that because people ask. Yeah. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go over to the comic book store. You should check it out. Ask for the girl Chick, and like, oh my gosh, like
I know.
I got into a full-fledged argument with a guy. That I was telling him, like, go. He goes like, where comic book store do you go to? I'm like, oh, I go to Asylum. He goes, which one's that one? I'm like, oh, it's the one in Palm Desert. It's on San Pablo. Mm-hmm. I said it's owned by this woman, Chick. And he thought I was saying, oh, it was owned by this chick. Mm-hmm. And I go, no. And he's got all bent out of shape about it. He goes, dude, how sexist of you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, were you calling the female owner? I mean, she's hard enough as it is that she's, you know, a minority in the industry, and you're calling her a chick? And I go,
oh, these freaking people.
And I'm like,
I love it.
Bro, dude, her name is Chicky. It's Chiqui. It's Chicky. Like, that's her real name on her birth certificate, on her driver's license. And so I'm like, oh, now you're calling her Chicky? And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I want to hit you in the face so bad. And so I'm like, no, bro, she's a Filipino female. Her name is Chicky. And I told her what her last name is, but you know, that's obviously Javel's last name. I don't want to divulge it.
Yeah, no.
But it's still a very unique kind of Filipino-esque name. Yeah. And so this guy just didn't get it. And this is to go with the topic at hand, is not only is there diversity in comic books, but there's diversity now in comic book selling. And it's right here in the Coachella Valley. But Marvel has dealt with diversity. So has DC. DC put Wonder Woman on the cover, 70, 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And huge success. You have this, you know, Amazon, and it wasn't just your typical woman too. It was a big kind of manhandling female that could really kick ass. And it was a success right from the get-go. So there's been diversity in comic books. Yeah. But it's been taken to a point now, and this is kind of with the news that's come out lately, that Marvel is really kind of hitting the restart button on their comic books, which the one thing Marvel doesn't need to do is hit a restart button. We don't need another number one. Yeah. Is they're getting off the social justice warrior soapbox. It was almost jammed down our throat, and we've seen some backlash. And you have some notes here, JR.
Oh yeah, I can go through them, dude, if you want me to. Like one of the biggest. Go ahead.
So we've gone from the X-Men of the '60s to now where we're at now. And I was gonna say, I'll tee it up for you, is some of the SJW stuff that it's gone too far in the current time. So
I mean, there has been some controversies that, and well, of course, we need to talk about, right? Like when I think about when the controversies in the last 4 or 5 years, you had the X-Men Gold controversy, where it was if those who don't know, I forget which issue it was. I think it was either
number one.
That's right, number one.
X-Men Gold number one.
It was X-Men Gold number one. It was the artist from that time. He's Malaysian. He's from I forgot the country. No, I forgot the actual place he's from. But like he put in some very derogative, not derogative, but like he put in some some art in there that made it look like he approved of there's no way to there's no Delaware way to put this, man. He made he it was very Islamic, and the Islamic
Yeah.
State in Malaysia is very apparent. Is very like it is very call for what it is, regressive
Yeah.
in my opinion. And so the when he put that on there, it was basically advocating that he is for what happened at the time was his political structure happening, and that the Islamic State of Malaysia wanted to take over basically everything, and he was approval of that. And you know what? Can you continue to talk? I'm actually get it out. I'm actually gonna do. I don't want to misspeak about this specific topic, but
Well, I
go
know
ahead.
that it was very pro-Islamic, but it was like almost Al Qaeda, like pro Al Qaeda content, and it was snuck in as a T-shirt that I thought it was Colossus was wearing too, which is
It was there was multiple things. It was just not just a T-shirt. There was also art in a certain background of the of a
yeah.
slab of like a cement. It was a bunch of stuff, man. It was let me see. I have some of the stuff right now. Yeah, it's on him on Colossus shirt is it shows QS. It's the Quran. It shows
Oh yeah.
a Quran thing. A Quran 551.
Hold on, keep talking. I got to step away real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Jewish heroes.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Jakarta. It happened in Jakarta. Jakarta, Indonesia is very complicated. Thing happened. Trial. I don't want to butcher this name. Tahaja. Yeah, I apologize if I just ruined your name. I apologize. It was elected in 2014. Is Jakarta's first non-Muslim governor in 50 years. He's Christian and the first ethnic Chinese person to hold the position. He's been relatively popular for his stance against corruption, including among the nation's moderate Muslim population. However, some conservative Islamists, largely led by Islamic Defenders Front, also known as FPI, have argued that the world's largest Muslim majority nation could not have been a leader who isn't Muslim. So basically, a governor in Jakarta, which all this happened in, who isn't Muslim, he's Christian. He was basically getting bashed a lot per se, and oh wow, they try to block him from becoming governor on the basis of his faith. He's been accused of vigilant. They have been accused of committing vigilant acts against religious minorities. It's basically the X-Men Go controversy happened. It was kind of just supporting, in this case, a very not a terrorist. I can't say okay, yeah, a terrorist organization.
It was labeled to be
the terrorist organization that has the Muslim faith. And yeah, the guy got kicked out of it. The guy got kicked out. He's been disciplined, and those comic books put on the shelves. That was just one controversy. Another one for me, honestly, that people kind of not actually haven't putting together, or maybe they have put together, but if you remember correctly, the X-Men versus Inhumans run that happened 2017, 2018?
2017.
2017.
X-Men Gold #1 was released.
No. The X-Men versus Inhumans run.
Oh, that was I think it was 2000. I think it might have been about the same, maybe end of 2016.
Yeah, I don't know if people notice about this, man, but this is if y'all didn't know, or this is what I get it from trying to assess the whole situation. The X-Men, of course, is supposed to be the African Americans, or is deemed as the minorities of America, right? The first minorities, right? But then in X-Men case, they put him as one of the original creators said that no, this is actually Black people, right? This is African Americans, right? And so in the
early 2017, yeah.
So when the Inhumans run came in, right, the Inhumans were known as the immigrants as well from a different planet. And they were seen as the model immigrants per se. And this was during the time where 2017, 2018, this was during the time where people saw that like, oh, why can't mutants be like Inhumans? Which is the same basic argument of having a lot of moderate people on the right saying that why can't Black people be like these type of Asian or these type of immigrants, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all didn't see that? This is Inhumans versus X-Men, or like just the arguments for everything from Inhumans and X-Men's mirror very much real life in this aspect. mutants were supposed to be seen as representation of African American lived experience in America, and the Inhumans were the accepted immigrants in America. Like, yo, you didn't see that person's from there. And we also have like I wrote down my notes where one of the how comics infected a life and the current moral standings, that you have Black Panther in the land of Wakanda being the pinnacle of human civilization, which is amazing to me, which I freaking love that. As well as did you read any of the older like Captain America books?
I'm playing catch up on them.
Okay.
But I mean, really and truly, the only Cap books that I've read from cover to cover is from
Yeah.
about 2016 on with the Steve Rogers run. I've read some of the Sam Wilson books, but I have not read any of the older Cap books.
Any of the 2000 books in there or no?
No, I like I said, it's one of the reasons why I have Marvel Unlimited, and this is not a
Mm.
plug for it, but it's to go back and read some of those ones, and I do collect trade paperbacks as well to do that.
I forgot which one it was, but this is I forgot which issue it was, but this is the time. This was during a time where nationalism in America was more so the entirety of America. It was about the 90s or so, where I don't know if you've seen a meme about it or you've seen a picture about it, but like, do you remember the picture of Captain Marvel where he headbutted to somebody else, right? And he points to his head and goes, "This A on my head doesn't stand for France."
Oh, jeez.
Like,
Yeah.
that was a very controversial time as well, and that shows that was kind of messed up, honestly. And
I do remember that. Actually, do remember that because it reminded me in the notes was like you had Cap, who was very nationalistic, and people were like, he's Captain America. He fights for America.
Supposed to be nationalistic.
And
like that.
having read more of the books and seen Chris Evans and the way the MCU portrayed Cap in the movies, was he was Captain America because of where he came from. But Cap has always been, if Captain America just stands for America, then he can't fight in space. The more and more I found out about Cap's background, and the why they call him Captain America, why they truly call him Captain America, I have no problem with him being an international fighter. And then like people that complained about Superman going and fighting outside of Metropolis and outside of the United States, you got to understand is when Superman was created in the 1930s, Simon and Schuster, that's all they knew was Manhattan. They only knew New York. I mean, for those who don't know, obviously, Metropolis and Gotham City are very much New York City. Yeah. I think that in more recent times, Gotham City has more reflected Chicago. That's why Christopher Nolan used Chicago for the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yep.
And we can get into all the whole politics of that at another time. But Simon Schuster did Superman in the 1930s, and that's all they knew was Manhattan. And they thought at the time that comic books were just going to be these silly little books for people in New York. They had no idea that years later that Superman would be the iconic character that he is, and would be world renowned. I don't have a problem with him being, but at his core, he was truth, justice, and the American way, because that's all Superman was. The world was a lot smaller in, what was it, 1938 or whatever it was that they created Kal-El and the Man of Steel and whatnot. So I don't have a problem with it. And the people that look at these characters as that they're nationalistic. It's not like Cap is denouncing the United States. He stands up for the, and then again, one of the other reasons why I thought Chris Evans did a great job is his cinematic portrayal is he stands up for the little guy because he was the little guy.
Yeah.
And the little guy can be any skin color.
Yeah. So. I do believe that it should be a point of contention where when we have this like retroactive history shaming, right, per se, absolutely. Captain Marvel back then, different representation of who he is now, right? Definitely, absolutely. And that's just how we should progress as a people, as a race per se, where we can see these things from the past, right? Say, oh, that's pretty screwed up. That's pretty messed up. So let's then pivot that to hopefully, make that evolve, right, per se, and have it. If y'all don't know who Captain America was supposed to be, right? How he was pivoted. He was basically the one of the biggest propaganda tools for the
Oh
U.S.
yeah.
government. One of the hugest ones per se, specifically during our wars and everything, right? He was definitely that. But now he's more so pivoted now as kind of like a freedom fighter for the people per
Yeah.
se. Definitely different now because when we evolve as a people, we've grown up as a people, we see these things in the right context and understand that we can grow as people. Like what was another one that I had I definitely didn't like. It was more so on the topic of cancel culture then, where I my points. Kevin has known my points for a while that I hate cancel culture per se.
It doesn't accomplish anything.
It doesn't accomplish anything. It just, you're basically shaming a person, right? Which they probably have, you're shaming someone who did something probably horribly so, I understand, 20, 25 years ago. Have they adjusted or make amends since then? I'm hoping they did. Truly, honestly, I'm hoping they did, and hoping that now in their time now, they're doing something that helps us as a people progress forward. And I've said this before in the past podcast where like we can't have that. The caveat in this is that like the people, our kids, our great grandkids will see us as savages too now then, because of the things that we don't see today. Right? Like,
Yeah.
what are they? What, I don't know if I said it here or somewhere else, but like, what are they gonna say? What are our great grandkids gonna say about us when we still had kids locked up in cages? Immigrant children locked in cages. What are our great grandkids gonna say about us when we are still using, tools and parts that child miners in Africa are digging up for us? What are our kids gonna say about us when we're still wearing Nikes and food and Pumas and all these other name brand stuff, that are made in Chinese sweatshops, were for people who are making less than cents an hour, say.
Yeah.
So like, we can't have, you want to have this discussion and have horrible atrocities pointed out back then, cool, but you're still wearing Nikes. You're still using Apple products. You're still using an iPhone. You're still using an Android iPhone where the metal components in that thing was dug up somewhere by some kid.
Yeah.
And so like, this cancel culture thing, like, yo, man, you gotta look at it too. Like, you're gonna get called out from some shit too, because you're still living as well. Like, but that is the point of contention, because we have to understand that when we grow up, we can then assess where we fail and how we can move on for that, how we can do better from it, rather than just like canceling somebody and think that, oh, that person that's it, you're done, you're over, whatever. I look at James Gunn specifically, and he's done so many good things past this. Now don't get me wrong, his actions and his comments in the terms of him joking, horrendous.
And
I get that.
it was a different time, because like, we made jokes that we didn't know what we were saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were having this discussion amongst some friends about words and names, and how, where did they come from, and how do they get turned. And I get like what James Gunn and other and what in racial comments are two different things, and what James Gunn said was pretty horrific. That should never be a joke, but at the time it was. It wasn't
more accepted.
Because it wasn't real. There was no face to it.
Yeah.
That you could make a joke like that, knowing full well that James Gunn, an adult male, was not going to go through with what he said he was going to do. But now that we have human trafficking and pedophilia is now a huge again, just bro, that. But you have to also consider that he was a dark human being, still kind of is, but he has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have to give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, because like I said before, man, how I'm pretty sure I said this way back when too on recent podcast, and because like then when you have this cancel culture s type of feeling, then like you can't necessarily like I when I put this back to the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Where I'm all for the movement. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. We need activism in that same context. But like, yo, the things you're pointing out other people online about what about the type of crap they've done before, like, look at what happened to the things that were up against George Floyd and I forgot Jacob Blake that's happened recently. Like, it, no one should get shot in the back. We understand that, but people are retroactively are canceling him because of his past prior convictions. That's cancel culture.
Yeah,
that's cancel culture. Like, do you not understand that?
And to chase the rabbit too, before we kind of get back to, one of the things that I wanted to kind of segue from this when you mentioned James Gunn, but I want to deal with cancel culture, and it's the same thing with Marvel. People want to cancel Marvel or Star Wars, Lucasfilm or Disney because of this, and they're like, well, fuck, screw you. I'm never going to Disneyland again. I'm never. Think about it as a whole. Okay, think of it as a whole. When you cancel, I'm never going to a Disney movie again. Well, then guess what? I'm gonna stick it to the man. And guess what? What if you do? What if you do? And it all of a sudden Disney, guess what happens? You don't have a Ryan Coogler get to make a movie and make and help make $1 billion for the Black community.
Yep.
You don't when you God dang, if you go screw DC, screw Warner Brothers, I'm not gonna support them anymore. And all of a sudden Warner Brothers, Gal Gadot doesn't get to make Wonder Woman. What's her name? The director who did that, I think also did The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
Doesn't get to make Wonder Woman, and she doesn't get to make another movie. When you cancel things, you have to think about the grandiose, because it goes for business as well. I've seen it firsthand. People go, I'm going to cancel Amazon because they don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. And guess what? Look at some of these distribution centers. They probably hire a lot of minorities. They've put a lot of these things in areas to help the community get better, offer jobs and stuff like that. So you have to think about it from the top to the bottom. That's why I was like, I'm a huge businessman. I look at the bigger picture and how it affects people. I was guilty of it back in college, was when you had Dean Cain, I think Dean, the guy who's running for president, whose wife was a Heinz, came from the Heinz family.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the name of it, but people are like, oh, cancel Heinz ketchup, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but no, whoa. I was right there with them. It's whoa. I looked at it from behind the scenes. I'm like, you start that all of a sudden, if we start canceling that, the company goes downhill. Think about the people that are working in the production. Think about the people that are working in the manufacturing plants that, jobs. And that's like the problem I have with like people like, we can get into a whole other subject. Like, that's why I don't get about the cancel culture. I don't do that. I was a huge Nike honk. Do I wear it as much anymore? No. Does it have anything to do with the sweatshops? It has anything to do with Colin Kaepernick? Does it have anything to do with Tiger Woods' sexual improprieties? No. It's overpriced, and it's not as good as it once was. I found more comfortable clothes to wear. I found stuff that I like wearing differently. I'm not a cancel culture, and I know people that are like, screw Nike because Tiger Woods cheated on his wife. Screw Nike because they hire Colin Kaepernick. Screw Nike because they hire LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Like, yeah, I don't give a crap. I don't like just to chase this rabbit one more time. I don't wear the Jordan brand, not because of Michael Jordan, and I have my personal beliefs towards Michael Jordan. I just don't like it. I'm not going to pay that much money for his emblem, and everyone wants to sit there and call and say, well, maybe it's because he's black that you're not supporting him. No, you know who I do support because it's comfortable and it fits me. I do support Tiger Woods. I like the Tiger Woods brand. And number two, you know who actually makes a pretty good brand is King Griffey Jr., a black guy, and he makes the Swingman brand for Nike. So now we're getting off comic book here, but I do support it when it fits me, meaning comfortably. It has nothing to do with the color of the skin of the person who's pushing it. It has to do with, is it the right price and is it comfortable? Because people know me, I'm a big dude. I'm pushing the double XL limit right now. That's why I was like, I didn't wash this shirt. I got it fresh out of the box. I didn't wash it because I didn't want it to shrink.
I know. I get it. I get it.
I don't get the cancel culture. I get it, but I don't understand.
It's very much. I'm telling you, man. It feels like this is gonna be a whole different. I don't know how much longer we got, but this is a different rabbit hole. I feel like it's just we're in a weird time and place where technology has taken over the lives of so many people.
Yeah,
and people just don't know where they're going per se, in the sense of like what is their. They don't feel like they belong per se, and so cancel culture is just another group. It's just basically another group of people that get together and say, "Oh, this should be right."
Yeah.
And we're just going to cancel this person because I feel like I'm making a difference. And I understand the notion of it. You're trying to do some good of it. But like when you are then have this cancel culture high, or this high of wanting to do this over and over and over again. And there has been studies shown where you have public adulation come towards you. You want to keep on doing it. I get that. Right. And so when you're part of a movement or a group, and you have public approval coming towards you, you want to continue to do it because you think this is the right thing to do. But when it comes to cancel culture, you destroy lives, you destroy other people's livelihood without actual proper evidence per se. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people, a lot of the time they get it right. They get it right. For cancel culture, certain things, right? But then what happens to Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
What happens to Amber Heard now? Can we have that conversation? Amber Heard, who was a part of the Me Too movement, who pivoted herself to saying that, oh, I was abused too, and they come to find out that she was actually the abuser from prior relationships as well as manipulating Johnny Depp and taking hold of his medication, and as well as manipulating her family members to talk some shit about Johnny Depp, as well as like have Johnny Depp's kids have Johnny Depp's kids have shit thrown their way because of it. Are we not gonna talk about that?
Yeah. And it doesn't fit the narrative.
Exactly. And so it's to me, dude, this cancel culture / Twitter / social media thing now, it feels very much like people don't have a proper way to vent out their need to feel like they belong somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me, man. And like this is me and my soapbox now. We're stuck indoors now. We don't go outside to play sports or to socially interact with people, to understand that your thoughts that you think are okay aren't probably not. They're not socially accepted majority of the time, right? And this is not to marginalize the people who truly can't talk to people, who truly are marginalized. This isn't to denigrate those people at all. No. It's that the majority of the people who are on these freaking pedestals are talking for you. They shouldn't be. Period, man. It pissing me off about this crap, dude. Like, I love Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And I understood that he had some problems in his past now, but like, you just canceled the man. You got him off a bunch of movies, and he was still going to kids. He was still dressed up as Jack Sparrow, going to meet cancer kids. What have you done lately?
Exactly.
Like, you hurled harassments at his daughter, saying that your dad's a wife beater. What the hell, bro?
Well, to get onto the it's probably a poor segue, but I was going to get into the
go ahead, dude. It's fine.
No. It kind of ties into coming out of the hashtag Me Too movement. Is the necessity going back to talking about Natasha Romanoff, talking about Black Widow, talking about Captain Marvel, talking about Wonder Woman, and all female cast. We talked about Birds of Prey, and its lack of success. Does it have to do with cancel culture and the what do they call it? The masculine. What do they call that? The
What where they try to mas-
demonize. Oh
where
god.
they try to demonize masculinity, or like
Yeah,
when they try
yeah.
to
What was it
make
called? It had a name to it. We've put so many damn names on it.
where they try to over masculine women, or is it
Yeah, rabid masculinity or
toxic masculinity?
masculinity.
There you
They
go.
blame the lack of success of all
Mm,
female
thank you.
casts and stuff on toxic masculinity. What they don't do is address the fact that the product isn't very good because you're
Hmm.
trying to pigeonhole a and again, it's easy for a white male to say this.
Hmm.
That's what I know the comments are going to be coming. It's easy, but look at it. Okay, I don't need to see it, and I want to see it. I
Hmm.
don't need to see Birds of Prey to know that they were trying to maybe slightly jam an agenda down our throat. They did it ever so slightly with Captain Marvel. And
Hmm.
guess what? It did make $1 billion because you had and you know what? For a little girl, like my daughter, I have no problem with her watching it and have the conversation with me, have the conversation with my wife
Yep.
about what it's true to be a powerful woman, to be stuff like
Yeah.
that. But you look at Charlie's Angels, probably didn't need another remake. Probably didn't even need the first two. We should have just left it at the original TV show and been done with that. But you put together, just for the sake of the property, to keep it going, to make a quick buck, you throw three actresses out there that probably just didn't fit the mold. It just didn't work. You
Yeah.
look at, like I said, Birds of Prey. I think the glowing one you left off this list was
Mm.
the movie we really didn't need, Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's right.
It was not good.
That's right.
Um, I watched a little bit of it, and it just wasn't good. My wife watched the entire thing from beginning to end. A woman, a woman who stands with, she's not a big hashtag Me Too, but she's also like, we need to be treated equally. We need equal
Hmm.
pay.
Hmm.
And she watched it and went, this is not good. Why'd they make this? This wasn't good. I mean, and she said the one thing that they tried to do was the subtle uh little agenda push.
Hmm.
And if you would just let it breathe, and the same thing with Ocean's 8, trying to do an all-female thing, and it just didn't work.
Mm.
And people want to go like, oh, it's toxic masculinity. No, it has nothing to do with it. It
Yeah.
wasn't a good movie.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was an okay movie. I'm not one of
Yeah.
those who goes like, it's the greatest movie of all time. It was okay. I think
I
part
enjoyed
of
it.
it, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
I
I think
enjoyed
there were
it.
parts of it that stunk of Zack Snyder too much that
Mhm.
kind of took me out of it.
Yeah.
I like Gal Gadot. I like the director whose name eludes me every time.
Yeah.
Catherine Bigelow, is that her name?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I'll go there right now. But yeah, she's doing the next movie. So I'm gonna check it right now. Go ahead.
But
Go continue.
I will say this is you look at a show that didn't push the agenda, but ended up having a pretty good run with a major female character. Number one, Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Mhm.
Yes, from the get-go, it was marketed as she's a female superhero, but there was no agenda. She just played a role,
Yeah.
and in a male-dominated position, and she addressed along the way in a very badass, hilariously, in a good, well-written,
Mhm.
flushed out character way, dealt with the chauvinistic attitude of the male gender.
Mhm.
Like they would give her like the whole like, "Hey, baby, come over here," and she'd punch him in the face, and they'd go
Mhm.
about 6 city blocks. It was
Yeah.
funny. It was well developed, and
Yeah.
I think you had a character like an actress like Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones so perfectly that she was she didn't get on a soapbox. She was not one of those like hashtag Me Too.
Mhm.
She was almost a kind of a dude in her own right, but at the same time, if you sat there and you disrespect her, she was going to punch you in the face. Another show to jump on the Marvel bandwagon that again dealt with subtle had a subtle agenda, but not too broad, but was able to get across not one, not two, but three or four, actually multiple really strong female characters from different avenues. And that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You had Ming-Na Wen, who plays a badass in everything she does. She played Mulan. She played a great character in The Mandalorian, and she played Agent Melinda May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have Chloe Bennett, who played Daisy Johnson, or Sky / Daisy Johnson / Quake, a great kick-ass character who comes from a mixed background. So now you have two quote persons of color, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then you had Elizabeth Henstridge, who played an intelligent female lead who made it cool to be a scientist. And they did such an amazing job at fleshing out her character as Gemma Simmons. But I think one of the most underrated characters, and probably one of the most underrated actresses out there, is Natalia Cordova Buckley, who played Elena Rodriguez, aka Yo-Yo, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She was a great character who added so much, just was such a, again, what's the word I'm looking for, but she added so much to the show as a bit character. I think like in season 3 or 4 that they brought her back as a series regular. And I'll actually go one further and kind of a bit character. I love the character because she was such a smart ass. Brianna Venskus, I think that's how Venskus. I think I can't remember how to pronounce her last name, but Brianna played Agent Piper in the character in the show, though it was never addressed. Brianna in real life is a LGBT. She's a lesbian person, and it's alluded to that she plays at least a bisexual character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she's again another badass character. She's really hilarious, smart alecky actress. But they never had an agenda. They did. I said there was a throwaway line. It's one of my favorite moments is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Brianna. Her Agent Piper character. She is training alongside Ming-Na Wen's Melinda May, and she is asked to take over a class. And she looks at Agent May and she goes, "I can do May." So it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, like meaning like she meant to say like, "I can do that, Agent May," but she says, "I can do May," because you can tell in that scene that there's a little bit of maybe a slight sexual tension. And Ming-Na, who's for all intents and purposes a straight character in the show, kind of goes, "Okay, that's kind of funny." Like she kind of, "Oh, that's cute." Yeah. Like she's like, she doesn't say, "Oh no," like go homophobic on it, but she kind of like, "Oh, that was like a cute little like nod to me," and stuff like that. So it was like little subtle things like that. And you had so many great, strong characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I know everyone's going to say like, "Oh, you're such a honk for the show," for the obvious reasons. But it made powerful women characters without being agenda driven.
It's very much, and these terms, man, nowadays are just so freaking buzzword, and so like it feels like there is some type of agenda pushing when you just say agenda. Like it feels like it too. Like it, but that's not the core problem. The core problem is that like we're all about character driven storylines, right? We're all about wanting the character arc to be there, and we want to be given a reason to care for the character other than the size of, other than them being male, female, whatever gender they want to be. We want to be given a reason to care for these characters per se, and that's it. That's the biggest reason why I was really, for me, I still am like, really wanting to see Yennefer Vandenberg, who, if you all don't know, that's from the Witcher series, right? Witcher series on Netflix, right? They have incredibly strong female characters in that movie, and the video game, and in the video games itself too, they're very strong. And even though I'm more accustomed to the video games, right? I love these characters. They're strong, very, very, very strong female characters because they definitely can take it their own. They could destroy armies if they wanted to, but they're written in a very human way. They have their own struggles. They have their own shit to deal with. They have their own goals. They have their everything. That's how you make proper characters. And to go and just also to kind of harken back to what you said for Wonder Woman, the director for that is Patty Jenkins, right?
Patty Jenkins, I apologize.
The one reason why I love Wonder Woman, too, one of the reasons why I really adored it is because they told a story of her. Period. She, even though the later part of the film was very formulaic, very Deus Ex Machina, the beginning to the middle part, the portions of it felt very much like she had a strong goal with knowing what to do, and she had her failings. She wasn't a Swiss Army knife, basically.
No.
She was very much a sharp sword, trying to hit everything. And they're like, no, we gotta have more delicacy to this. Period. That has grown her as a character. That's the reason why I really like that. And one of the biggest reasons why I didn't like one of the biggest, if you want to talk about diversity, you want to talk about this crap, is that, well, I'm gonna harken back to freaking Birds of Prey here, is that they destroyed one of my favorite characters of all freaking time in Batgirl, Cassandra Cain. And
see, I didn't even know that she was even going to be in Birds of Prey.
You want to talk about like some racist crap, man, that I view as an Asian person? Look at what they've done to Cassandra Cain in Birds of Prey.
And you're talking about the movie Birds of Prey, not the comic.
Not the comic, the movie Birds of Prey, right? That came out, and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. They basically denigrated her as what's his name, dude? They short rounded her. For those who don't know who Short Round is a Indiana Jones character, an Asian character who's a sidekick to Indiana Jones during Temple of Doom, I think, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, very racist depiction of an Asian character too. Small kid, goofy looking, has the horrible accent, all that stuff. Even though necessarily it wasn't done to Cassandra Cain, they short rounded her character.
Oh, yeah, she's the one that they just made her the sidekick.
They made her the sidekick. If it was any other character, I'm cool with that. But they made a very established, strong character who can honestly, in my opinion, and not even my opinion, actually, just from freaking fact, she can destroy each and every one of those characters in the movie. If it was the actual Cassandra Cain, she would be the strongest character in the movie, period.
That's unfortunate because, like I said, I was really looking forward to one of the reasons I was looking forward to watching this movie was her. And this then again, this is not helping my cause because it's, like I said, I wanted to see this movie so bad because I didn't realize when I looked it up real quick on IMDb, she is a cousin to a YouTuber that we watch here with our family. She's of course of Filipino descent, the actress that plays Cassandra Cain it's Ella J. Basco. And then this was I think it was supposed to be like one of her big breakout roles. Yeah. And she was relegated to just, like I said, it was just
a side character, a sidekick. And like, that's the thing that irritated me about this one, where I see it as wrong, because like, you have a white character, you now have a white, the white protagonist woman character having the Asian small girl sidekick. Yeah. Like, you don't think that I freaking view that as racist, bro? You made my character that I've been rooting for the last, I think Cassandra Cain's been out for like the last 15 years now or so, maybe longer than that now, I think, where she has her own ups and downs. I read her in my storyline, and I read her growth as a character, even now to this day, and how she's such a freaking badass overall.
Yeah.
And you just denigrate her to that. One of the worst depictions of Asians in movie history.
Yeah.
Short Round? Really, dude?
I like to go on record and say that I actually, I know it's going to sound white of me, but I actually enjoy Short Round.
I'm pretty sure you do, man. I'm pretty sure that was the majority of what people thought about Asian people too when they first.
But I think too is what I like about, and I know he's denigrated as the sidekick in the story, and it's unfortunately the depiction of him. But you have to understand too is that actor that played that role did the same thing in Goonies. Mm-hmm. I mean, he basically played the exact same character. Mm-hmm. I actually liked him in that because I think he kept, one of the reasons I like him, and I look at it from this standpoint, is he kept Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones honest. he called Harrison Ford, he called Indy's got on his bullshit sometimes. But I get the unfortunate depiction of Short Round, especially the name alone.
Yeah.
And you look back like, ooh, maybe that wasn't a good choice, but
No, here's the thing though, and I harken back to my previous point. I did like what 15, 20 minutes ago or so now. We're like, as the people, we can see certain things for context. I understand why Short Round is there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming for people liking Short Round, because that was his character. That's how he to be. It's hard being Asian American at that time, getting roles,
especially at that time. Yeah.
You have to play your role, right? But it's 2020. It is 2019 at that time when the movie came out. Why do we have another Short Round character?
Yeah, that's just. I think that was just them trying to shoehorn in a character that wasn't flushed out and established. And again, that's when you have to be careful about doing team up movies like this. You're not going to hit a home run like you did with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. If it was any other side character, right? The reason why I say Short Round in this particular scenario is because, like, if it was someone other than Cassandra Cain, all right, cool, she's the quirky sidekick, whatever. She wouldn't remind me of Short Round. But then because it's Cassandra Cain, such a prominent Batgirl character, right, that you denigrate her to just this, I'm like, the comparison is much more apparent now. But like, that's just one approach. That's just one thing. I don't know if you had any points, but I was gonna actually ask you, how do you feel about race swapping characters too, like in the sense of like when we talked about whitewashing, right, just a little bit, right, but more so now, like
now going the reverse, where
like you have the neck in the new live action Ariel, you have, rather than Ariel being a pasty white girl from underneath the sea, she is now black, or being played by black actress.
It's tough because you've had, didn't they do a Cinderella where they had
they did. It was with Brandy. Yeah.
Because the live action, for those who don't know, the live action Ariel, the live action Little Mermaid they're going to do is not it's not going to be like Lion King. It's going to be a made for TV production, I believe. I think it was going to be one of those like live production deals. But yes, it's never. So does that make it any different that I have a problem with it? No, but it's a wait and see. And I think it harkens back to, again, the Michael B. Jordan effect is, do I have a problem with there being a black Johnny Storm? Yes, because number one, there never was a black Johnny Storm. There, I think, have since in a different multiverse, maybe there was. But I also, at the same time, I'm going to wait and see and go like, well, maybe Michael B. Jordan can pull it off. And how are they going to tell the story of her, of Johnny and Sue Storm? Okay, they're adopted brother and sister and stuff like that. Now, that ended up being a colossal waste of time of a movie anyways. Zendaya as MJ. Okay. They haven't come out and said that this is Mary Jane. Because we do know that MJ's real name in this movie is Michelle. Yeah. And there is a Michelle that looks like Zendaya. Now, Zendaya is, I don't know, does she classify herself as African American?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I know she's
so unique. She is such a unique actress.
I think she is. She is. That's a horrible way to phrase it, but she's majority African American. But then I think there are other. I don't know what her full lineage is. Yeah,
but the character Michelle in the comic books, the Spider-Man character, which is kind of the role that Zendaya is playing, is a Latin character. Now, Michelle in the comic books is not a love interest of Peter Parker, but she is a bit character that is similar, kind of quirky, similar to what Michelle is playing, what Zendaya is playing in the new Tom Holland Spider-Verse. The Flash Thompson being played by basically like an Indian I don't know what the actor's background
Oh
is.
yeah. He's
He's not the poster child, because Flash Thompson is very much a
white dude,
poster boy white dude for the Aryan race kind of deal. You know, he's the jock white guy, pain in the ass, whatever. I'm okay with that casting because I like the direction they went with. They went very John Hughes-esque with the Spider-Man universe, with the Tom Holland Spider-Man. They went very John Hughes, very Brat Pack. They're all similar age, kind of smart alecky. Flash Thompson is still a dick, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I embrace that because I think the actor did a great job. Adding Ned, which I think is an original character.
No.
I'm not. Is Ned an actual?
Ned technically is an original character, but there is because for those who don't know, I'm pretty sure we made it know before that the Homecoming, all that, right, is basically Miles Morales' story, Spider-Man, right? And Ned, there is an Asian character in Miles Morales' origin story book that's supposed to be Ned.
Okay.
So, he's weird.
But I don't have a problem with that. Now, I didn't know this. I saw in your notes. The character in Logan, the actress who plays X-23 plays what's her name?
It's
Laura
Kinney.
Okay, Laura in the comic book is Asian.
Yep.
But in the movie Logan, she's very much Hispanic.
Yep.
I didn't know that, but I guess I kind of embraced it because the actress, albeit she's young, she hit a home run with the character. And to be honest, and then we can't repeat what either one of them said, but the scene of them in the char where he says, shut up, and he says, shut the F up. What she says to him in Spanish, which we can't repeat, there's no way that scene could have worked if they had done a Asian version of Laura X-23.
Yep.
Because the characters were Japanese.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a weird thing. I think the mother host originally is supposed to be Japanese.
Okay. Again, I can't stand on that soapbox enough, but because I don't know enough about the X-23 background.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm okay with the ones that I've had a problem with, and again, I'll throw myself under the bus, is the Michael B. Jordan, Johnny Storm, and I guess the Zendaya MJ. But I think that they've kind of hinted at that the Mary Jane and the Gwen Stacy has yet to be seen in that universe. So who knows if we'll ever get to see it. But no, the race swapping, I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Yeah. I think I'll go ahead and finish.
I can't think of anything else that there really has a problem with, but I will say this, and I'll throw myself at the mercy of the court. And I told you off the air about this, was I saw for the first time last night The Princess and the Frog, which was Disney's first full featured film that had a African American character as the main character, Tiana, and basically in those she was not a quote princess until the end. Well, spoiler alert, until the end of the movie. She is a quote Disney princess, and she was the first Black African American Disney princess. And I saw that and went, at the time when the movie came out, to me, it looked like them trying to establish an agenda. It was them pushing it down our throat. And I didn't want to see it. And on that, based on completely on that agenda. And you can say, well, typical white male right there. But my son said, no, Dad, it's actually a really good movie. And he had seen it. And I remember when my kids were younger, my wife wanted to show it to him, but was very concerned about the voodoo aspect of it, that was going to be too dark. they inevitably saw it. I think a year or two ago, maybe about a year or so ago during summer vacation or something. And my son loved it. My daughter enjoyed it as well, but not as much as my son. So my son picked it as a family movie last night, and I loved it. I thought it was a good movie. It did reestablish the fact that I told my wife this, that on my bucket list, I want to go to New Orleans, never been. And I want to go to Mardi Gras, not for the obvious reasons that you would think. I want to go for the music and the food.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of the culture down there. And it came across in the movie. It was very well done. The jazz, I enjoyed the voodoo aspect of it. And the Creole history that's down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because that's how you properly say it, I've been told.
New
Orleans. That's why Mon Ami. That's why Gambit's one of my favorite all-time characters. But no,
yeah.
And put a punctuation point. I guess I'm kind of okay with them tweaking Splash Mountain to make it more Bayou-esque, because I don't think it's going to change other than the story told.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to change much in Splash Mountain. And
I mean, like,
I get the problems with Brer Rabbit and all that stuff. I get that, but I guess I'm the white guy. I didn't have a problem with it. I have African American black friends that really didn't have a problem with it because it's a stupid Disney ride. Who cares?
It's more so like this kind of put on into like just my aspect of like if I'm okay per se with race swapping, reverse, right? Of course, the biggest one for me, of course, is X-23 being Mexican.
Yeah, you're a huge fan.
Rather being Asian, and I guess I did have a problem with it before, right? And then I watched the movie and I got over it. Period. That's the biggest thing. If I watch the movie and I get over it, or if the movie pulls me in enough for me to basically what's the word I'm looking for? Where I'm just pulling to the movie. It is a certain term for it where you hold you suspend your disbelief, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in the movie. I get it. I understand. During the time 2016 Logan, right? We had a big thing with with Trump building the wall and basically going against and basically trying to antagonize Mexican Americans. So you have a movie to come out where it's somewhat in a social commentary of the time, right? So it made sense specifically for Logan when he was going back and forth from America to Mexico during this dystopian time in America.
Yeah.
Where understandable, yeah, of course, X-23 is Mexican. I'm okay with that. She's still a freaking badass. I hope they make more movies with the actress. Her name is Daphne Keane. I'm hoping they make more movies with X-23.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. In other contexts too, where with the new Batman movie, you have is Jim Gordon, who's now black, who's played by let me see, I forgot his name.
Is something right, isn't it? No.
Yeah, he's in something world, Westworld.
Yeah, and he's also he plays he's a oh my gosh, I could drew a
Jeffrey
blank.
Wright. It's Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. He also plays a great character in Casino Royale. In the James Bond, he plays the CIA agent. And he's also going to be the voice of Nuatu from the main Watcher. He will be in What If next year. So
yeah, I'm okay with it too, because like for me, like I said before, you must have, if you have at least a good semblance of the character from your source, right, be depicted in your acting, I'm cool with it, right? And so when I saw Jeffrey Wright as Jim having that same scowly demeanor that I've seen Jim Gordon have throughout my years of either watching him or reading him, I'm like, yeah, that's Jim. That's Jim. I get it.
One of my when I saw Jeffrey Wright in the trailer, by the way, if you want to watch DC Fandom, check our episode last week. When I saw his portrayal, and he walked on stage, he's got the flashlight, and he's playing Detective Gordon.
Yeah.
To me, he looked like basically a black version of the um, Commissioner Gordon that's depicted in a lot of the animations.
Yeah,
Um, he's got the beard and the mustache. He's
yeah,
got the
the
goatee
stubble,
going, kind of
the glass.
scraggly. Which I'm okay with, and I know, having seen him play, and I just had the character's name in front of me, having
Mhm.
him play Felix Leiter, who is the CIA agent in the James Bond, the current Daniel Craig James Bond universe. Um, he's kind of smart alecky, but he's kind of
Yeah,
gritty. He is Commissioner Gordon. He is
yeah,
James Gordon.
he's very much that, because like, yeah, like I expect that to happen from a, a Batman Year Two grizzled veteran.
Yeah,
Like, as long as you have some semblance of your source character from the source, from your source material, right?
yeah.
Be depicted on screen. At that point, there's gonna be hardly, you would have to really go, for me, go super far left to take me out of that.
Yeah.
You can be, if you are an actress or actor, or in whatever gender you want to identify as, you can be transgendered. You can have, your personal life can be whatever of your choosing want to be. But and if you are, you are penned for the role of, let's say, the Riddler in the movie, in the Batman movie, and your depiction of the Riddler is pretty damn close to the source material, I'm cool with it, dude. I don't care, as long as you honor the source material. That's the biggest thing with me.
Well, and we go back as further that I didn't have problems with was you had a guy. Well, we don't really know what the race of the Joker is,
Mm-hmm.
but it has been historically played by a white actor. You got Joaquin Phoenix, Jared Leto,
Yep.
Heath Ledger, um, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark Hamill. But what's was
The original
the original
Cesar
was.
Romero.
Mm-hmm.
Cesar Romero, Hispanic, and then you look at Catwoman, who has always been a white male,
Yeah.
or white female rather.
Pink,
Interesting, white male Catwoman. No, it's always been a white female, but was it Eartha Kitt
I think so. Yeah.
from the original, the Batman '66, who was a phenomenal Catwoman, and played that sexuality up, that flirtatiousness with Bruce Wayne and Batman, but
Mm-hmm.
also was very manipulative, was very she was a cat burglar. She played the villainous role, but at the same time was very sensuous and was able to pull off the role. And
Now.
everyone talks about the kiss that took place between Captain Kirk and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Lieutenant Uhura on Star
yeah,
Trek.
yeah.
Adam West has come out and said that he dated Eartha Kitt, if I'm not mistaken. But he says, but he didn't care. He was attracted
Yeah,
to her. They
yeah,
hit it off, bam. But he understood the
yeah.
cultural
Significance.
of a huge white male megastar in the 1960s dating, who was, and Eartha Kitt was a huge star. She was more of a singer, but she was a huge star with Batman '66, and it was a big deal. And that's why they actually kind of kept their, and it was funny was they kept their love a secret because of the race relations, but because they didn't it's nobody's business. Who cares?
Yeah, at the
But
same time, 1966 as well, though. Like,
yep, right in the middle of it. You're right in the middle of it.
Literally a year before that, they just signed the civil rights movement, so
Yeah.
I understand. But like, in the same too, when Catwoman being played now by Zoe Kravitz,
I'm down with it.
I'm cool with it. I've seen a lot more. I just forgot. I just totally just went blank at the word. I've seen way more movement, I guess, for less, forgetting a better term for it. More movement in Zoe Kravitz than I've seen in the prior Catwoman depictions.
Yeah.
Like acrobatics. There you go. I see more acrobatics in Zoe Kravitz,
which is what Selena Kyle needs to be.
Yeah,
she's a cat burglar.
Yeah, and so I've seen way more cat burglary-esque things done by her, save for maybe Gotham, right? The character, the actress who played Selena Kyle in Gotham. I've seen more of that in this depiction than I've seen of, like, even
Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, like, I mean, It's I'm cool with it, dude. I'm cool with it
I'm
because
down.
as long as there's some semblance of the original character there, and you play yourself within that kind of sphere, do what the hell you want to do, bro. As long as like the character that I grew up watching and reading, it's still there.
And I think
That's
too, what's going to be nice about Zoe Kravitz, um, is she has that very Eartha Kitt
mhm,
sultriness to her,
yeah,
where which you do need to have. And people go like, "Oh, there you go. Once again, it's got to be all about the looks." No, people don't understand. It's what Selena Kyle's character is.
yeah,
She has to seduce Bruce Wayne. She has
yeah.
to. They almost got married in the comic book. I don't know.
What?
They actually did. They get twice?
Uh,
There's a huge storyline just like not even 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah, yeah. It was
But
pretty freaking close, man. But yeah,
and that's what was funny was like real quick. People forget with Anne Hathaway's approach to the character, she
mhm,
ends up teaming up with Batman, and people go like, "Wait a minute, well, Catwoman's a bad guy. She's a villain." And I go, "She's an anti-hero
yeah.
because yeah, she's a cat burglar. She breaks the law, but
The
she
reason,
doesn't believe in the what the Joker's doing.
yeah,
She doesn't
it,
believe in murdering and stuff like that.
yeah.
She's almost
If
kind of like a Robin Hood, almost.
yeah, if there was like some level of spirit, this is my D&D nerdiness coming into play now. But like, if there was some type of moral spear you put on her, she'd be chaotic neutral, right?
That's for again nerd alert for the D&D people. And by the way, did you win last night, or are you guys still playing?
We're still playing, dude. So
Okay, it's never ending.
it's a long game. It's gonna take a while, but yeah, that's all different conversation.
Um,
But
we'll put a little
what-
we'll put a little bow on it because we're getting to the 2.5 hour mark.
hey, that yes, it was.
We chase so many rabbits.
I mean, it's a big topic, dude. It's
It
like
is.
what is diversity and like how it. Okay, so should we end it off on like does diversity work then, or does diversity like in today's sphere where oh here you go here's the one thing, here's the topic I really want to get into, where like because you made a note of like where in Charlie's Angels, right, that came out recently, how people were the director, I forgot her name, the director of Charlie's Angels.
I can't think.
Yeah, but she's like she proclaimed that that sexism is the reason why male guys being sexist is the reason why her film didn't do so great. Like, nah, dude, it wasn't. I wasn't
It just
really
wasn't
interested.
good.
I wasn't really interested in Charlie's Angels anyway. Like, and she made a note like saying that all these Marvel movies are making millions upon millions and hundred millions of dollars. Why can't my movie make that? Well, one is 10 years. It's all these. She like, or she made. She
Yo,
made
that's right. She made a huge stink about it.
yeah, like so. This is gonna be my rant. Well, I had so many rants already, but like this is gonna rant right here, dude. Like yo, when you get into the nerdy shit that we get into and we've been into for like at least 20 years now, at least 25 plus years now, right? And we've dealt with that stink for so long, and I'm so freaking glad now that all the stuff that I've been into is now popular. I don't want you hijacking my stuff. Like that's I feel that's the biggest thing. We're like, now because superheroes, comic books are now popular, we have a lot of the people who want to try to hijack it, do their own thing, and then claim. And because now, because since people like you and me, we could see this crap, and they're trying to do something similar to that, superhero movies or very strong, able action stars that are women do their own thing. That should appease the nerd dudes, right? So they should watch a movie, and if they don't, I can call them sexist. Nah, we weren't in your shit. We weren't into your shit anyway, dude. Like, I'm all for it. Yeah, hey, if y'all into that stuff, hey, more power to you. I watched the first Charlie's Angels way back when it was the original three, the movie. But then after
Okay.
that, I wasn't really into it after that. So like when you have, I just don't like. I don't understand. There you go. I should say that. I don't understand this aspect of like people trying to, because now my thing that I've been into for so long is now popular, where people are trying to then gravitate towards that, hijack it, and then say, if you don't support what I'm doing or these other things, then you are sexist, you are racist, you are bigoted, you are this or that or that. Like, no, I've been into this one thing. I'm still going to be into this one thing. The reason why that you're into it now is because it just got popular.
Yeah.
And I never like if I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna get mad when D&D gets big, like full on nerd shit, dude. Sorry, apologies, whatever. I mean, if you still listen to us now, like you should know already. But like, I'm gonna get super pissed off when I get into my D&D shit now, and it gets popular in about 2-3 years now, and they're wanting to add in some weird, not weird, but like some random shit, right? Some random stuff like, oh, you guys are fake. If you guys are not supporting my stuff, man, because I, I don't like hijackers. I don't like hijackers of culture or whatever of subcultures, man. It's weird, dude. It's irritating. It's infuriating, and it's just exhausting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was concerned over the last 3 days, since Chadwick's, and we'll kind of wrap up on this, and I'll tell you because it kind of goes along with the hijacking my shit. I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. Did I say it's the greatest Marvel movie of all time? No. Regards to Black Panther, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like Michael B. Jordan. I like Chadwick Boseman. The guy, I want to make sure I get it. Letitia Wright,
Yeah,
I think is a phenomenal actress. I think that the lady, the two actresses that played the other, like played Okoye, and the gosh,
oh, you talking about yeah, no, the one person who plays Koya is who's also she's in Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think
gosh.
they're all the actresses in the movie are absolutely amazing.
Tony Braxton.
I think plays.
Yeah, he got her as a mother. Like, dude, that's freaking awesome, dude.
Oh, I thought that was when they casted her, I was just like,
oh, y'all getting some royalty on this thing, then let's go.
And I like how too she was one of those people like, oh, I'm just, my agent got me a big movie. It's like, and then she kind of like embraced it when she saw all the fans, and she kind of got into it. But like Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o, and then you have
Danny
Guria, all
Danny.
Great. But it's not one of my favorites. But you know, I embraced the attitude behind it. You know, the Wakanda forever. And so the last 3 days, my comment, and even when my post on social media was, you know, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace King T'Challa, and then I did the Wakanda forever, and I actually had people go like, no, that's our thing.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. I had people tell me that were black, and then I had people that were white tell me, no, you can't do that. That's their thing. And I'm like, do you not hear yourself? This is, I get it. I am so for the fact that they put a powerful black man that didn't need to shoot up everybody and be a lead character in a movie. Because that's been the complaint amongst my friends. I have a guy that I worked with at when I used to work at Best Buy. There's this guy whose name is Nick. Big old dude, big old black dude. Super cool. One of my, I have conversations with him on a weekly basis since him and I left Best Buy, and it's about everything. We talk about comic books, we talk about nerd stuff, we talk about race relations. And his number one complaint is, he goes, whenever you watch a movie that has a black lead character, they're playing some guy that just has to shoot up everything. He goes, I can't take my son to go see that. That's not powerful. That doesn't speak for me. He goes, but like, or it's a sports movie. And he goes, I love sports. I love football and stuff like that. But he doesn't have to be, because he's black doesn't mean he has to be an athlete. Why can't there be something? So when he saw Black Panther, he's like, bro, oh my gosh, dude, a superhero that doesn't need a gun, that will use his brains and his power before he has to fight someone. And he's smart, and he uses technology, and it's just like, and then if need be, he'll fight you, and he's gonna kick your ass. And he does this all with his own fist. Now, granted, he has a super soldier, he has the Black Panther serum, whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, he was all on board. So, and he goes, that showed how strong a black character can be.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's my Captain America. He's like, but I love Captain America. I love Chris Evans. I love Captain Rogers. I love Steve Rogers. He's like, and so he goes, and it's okay for a white guy to love King T'Challa and to be, you are my king, Wakanda forever. He goes, because we all embrace it. We're all nerds. We're all, and that's what I love about the nerd culture is we're all from a melting pot, and we don't see race. And it's just like, I don't see it as the highest grossing film with a black actor. I just see it's one of the high. I look at it from a comic book movie, and yeah, it did great things. And Chadwick Boseman did so much for the African American community as their leader, as their king. But to come after someone and say, no, bro, that's our thing. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that to me, that's racism.
Yeah.
We don't see white people going, no, you can't do that. We did that. We did that back in the day, so you can't vote.
Yeah.
We did that, and we got over that shit, and we should get over that shit.
Yeah.
And
it's
to say someone I can't memorialize someone.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where but I understand it because I can, as a person of color, as a Filipino American, Filipino just general, and Hawaiian Pacific Islander as well, I want to look at, freaking Maui in Moana and say, hey, that's my dude. No other person can freaking do that. I want to see that and do that, right? But at the same time, I'm not gonna denigrate someone else's experience. For me, this is me personally. I'm not gonna denigrate someone else's experience to look at a character that represents me and see that as a possible hero or in their lives. I can't do that. And so, but it sucks that you went through that. Absolutely. Yeah. To me, that's pretty freaking prejudiced. That's pretty freaking racist too, honestly, if we're being serious about this. And I understand that we're at a certain time where it's you have quite honestly, to a lot of young kids in this generation, the first black superhero pass on you. So you have a lot of people trying to say that he belongs to us. I get that. But if Spider-Man, if knock on wood, if Tom Holland died tomorrow, and you had white dudes or white kids say no, to the black kids or to the Asian kids, no, you can't mourn with us. You can't say this. You can't do the Spider-Man things or anything like that. He's one of ours. You can't do that. That's trashy, man.
Bring up a great point, and I think it is a way we can kind of tie it into celebrating the life of Chadwick Boseman and show that it doesn't matter what the color of the skin of the character was. We can all come together and we can do this and we can celebrate our king. Yeah. You see it right there. You nail it head right in here. You talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse. Phenomenal movie. There's a scene, spoiler alert, where one of the Peter Parkers dies. And there is a scene where there's a sea of people at the memorial for Spider-Man, and they're all wearing masks. White people, black people, brown people, Asian people, Indian people, doesn't matter. They're all wearing masks. And of course, Miles Morales, same thing. He's wearing a red and blue Spider-Man mask. We are all Spider-Man, honoring this Spider-Man. Yeah. And it doesn't matter that the Spider-Man was white, because at that point there was no black Spider-Man, because Miles Morales hadn't been bit by the spider yet in that movie. But that was a scene that was poignant to me, because it was like we could all put on the mask and say that we're right there, we're with you and stuff like that. And I think that as nerds, we can all embrace it. And you mentioned I wanted to pay tribute in a way that was honoring to both this person's culture and their father, who was the one that passed away, was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Being a huge wrestling fan, when Rocky Johnson, his father passed away, though he was African American, but he married into a Samoan family and went through all of the rituals and was embraced, was basically, without being Samoan, was Samoan.
Mhm.
And I sent, though I don't know Dwayne Johnson from a hole in the ground, I sent him a message on social media, and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry to hear about your father. You know, I hope he sounded like he was a good man. He did so much for the business." But I sent him a message in, I looked up a message in Samoan that was like, "God be with him." Basically, may he, basically is God be with him, rest in peace. But I wrote, it was in the Samoan dialect.
Yeah.
And I had someone go like, "Don't you think that was maybe kind of like distasteful?" And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're white." And he was like, "But it was just my way of, like, I went out of my way because I wanted to pay tribute to him the way he was." That's how I do things. I was like, I just wanted to make sure that, like, my whole point was addressed. And so I went and did that. I wanted him to pay tribute to him in his culture as well.
Mm.
I paid a tribute to him by my way of saying it, just in whatever plain English, and said rest in peace to Rocky, but I also said, this thing. And I think it's kind of cool because I am also learning that culture and learning to respect that culture and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's definitely. I understand. This is actually funny. You brought me to a point that I actually made last week, where I understand, and I understand why you say that we as people should not see color.
yep.
Alternatively, right? This just I understand, but I also understand because I'm not white. I am brown, very brown actually. That I understand why people say no, you have to see color, because of the aspect of like, because it's from the aspect of like, because no one has saw color so much before. Y'all didn't care about me before, and now since the limelight is now on people of color, I want you to see me because of my skin. I understand that aspect as well. And this is not to denigrate anything that you said at all. Absolutely not. I see. I would love to put the mixture of those two together. You as a white individual should be okay saying that no, we should not see color, dude, and that's fine, because that is where everyone should be at a point in life. Honestly, it's just that right now, not one. I can't say this is not true right now, but because of how the vitriol is being used today in today's landscape, where where people of color need other people to be aware of their color, right? Is to say that I want to care about these things. I want to care about nerd culture. I want to be a fan of both Black Panther and Spider-Man, and be black at the same time, because my skin color means so much to my heritage. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so, because I can be a nerd, I can be a Spider-Man fan, I can be a Black Panther fan, I can be a Black Widow fan, I can also praise fake worship to an Asgardian Thor god, but at the same time make credence knowing that I'm Filipino American, I am brown, and I still love my heritage, my culture as well, because of my upbringing, and how that comes to the table in my viewpoint of seeing all this, of seeing the entirety of this nerd society, as well as just all of society. That's not denigrating anything you've said at all. Absolutely not. And we all as people should come to that, saying that, well, a white dude doing Wakanda Forever to make praise of a man who just passed away should be his own way of honoring the dead, honoring those who have passed, period. And so this does kind of tie back into cancel culture and the proclivities and the not proclivities, but the I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. There, like, this comes into context of like the insecurities, I guess, of today's society, where we have to care about being socially correct, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Politically correct.
Politically correct. Period. And so like, I understand both sides. I understand why you should say that we shouldn't see color, because color's been put in your face so many freaking times that you don't care about that crap, because all you care about is just freaking nerd shit, and nerd shit does not see color. As well as I can understand from people that have been marginalized for so freaking long that we rely on nerd shit. We rely on nerd shit to basically get through this fucking shit.
Yep.
Period.
Agree.
But like, it's just more so like, I hate how people would try to stigmatize nerd culture and set dividing lines rather than have conversation.
Yeah. And, you know, that's what I liked about, it's just a coming together point is nerd culture. And I think that's, I honestly, I will say this, and I think I said it last week and I'll say it again. I think that a lot of the reason why we have the problems that we're having, especially in the last 6 months, is number one reason is because we're locked up. We're all locked up, and we are just a powder keg of emotions, and we're ready to explode. And when we go out, well, it doesn't matter who we are. When we go out, we're not doing things. We're not thinking right. We're doing stupid ass shit. And I know that some of us, pardon me, we use a little bit more colorful language today. Well, I think it's kind of an emotional topic. But the last 6 months, we've been a powder keg of emotion. Mm-hmm. And I know that this has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that we are sitting at home, not doing anything, not working, not spending time with our loved ones, not spending time with our friends, not going out and socializing. And what do? We get behind a keyboard and all we do is vent all day. And all we're doing is we're pouring more and more and more gunpowder, more and more ammunition into that barrel. And all it does is take something and light that fuse, and all of a sudden, boom. Yep. And I think that one of the things that we're missing is the ability for us to gather safely and joyfully and have a good time. And that's going to the movies, going to the comic book store, in the masses, going to Comic-Cons. I know that is that kind of, stuff like this, racial injustice, gun violence, all that kind of stuff happened when the world was open, but I think it has become 1,000 times worse in the last 6 months because we are locked up and we don't have avenues to come together. And I think that we have sat behind a keyboard for too long and have been manipulated by the platform. And I know we sit here and we praise social media for pushing our show.
Yeah.
But there's bad stuff to the social media. I've been trained behind years of school on how to properly use a media form, whether it be social or multi. But you being a level-headed human being, no, not a good time to get behind a keyboard. We have a conversation like this for the masses. I just think that not being able to, I think, like I said, getting behind the screen and reading a bunch of misinformation and reading stuff of hatred and stuff like that on a regular basis has not helped us, because we can't go outside, we can't stretch our legs, we can't go to the movies, we can't go to the comic book store, we can't go to Comic-Cons, we can't go out to the park and play Pokemon Go or play you go and play D&D, but I'm sure it's not the same as it was maybe 6-7 months ago. It's just, there's so much. And I think really and truly, and I've said this before, I've said it to my wife, I'll say it again. And it's one of the reasons why my wife has brought comic books into her classroom as a teacher, is to help to kind of help bring people together in her classroom for a common good. And comic books have done that, and Comic-Cons have done that. I love going to cons and seeing cosplay and seeing the people that collect and whatnot. And I think that's what's missing.
Yeah.
D&D doesn't know race. Pokemon Go doesn't know race.
Technically, well,
I mean, it
sorry,
does,
sorry.
but
If I'm a half orc, tiefling, and if I'm a half, okay, sorry, this is points of brevity, all right, or levity with the light points. If I'm a half orc tiefling and you are a druid, half elf,
I knew that was coming.
Ancestral thing, definitely notice. And I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it. But just point on, just to help put out thing. Yeah, definitely. Social media can definitely be a huge echo chamber for you to feed into negative thoughts.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but you were on an amazing point before. I just totally took you off it because I wanted to make a D&D.
No, no, it's all good. But anyways, guys, we've gone on. JR and I have got on our soapbox. We're hitting almost 3 hours. I'm going to have to trim some of this up. I do want to just give a little shout out again, once again, to our friends at Comic Asylum Palm Desert. They are still open. Hit them up. Show them some love. Tell them that PS Comics I Love You sent you. Real quick, pull list flex for the day. A beautiful Wonder Woman number 761, black and white cover. Just simply gorgeous cover of Wonder Woman. I don't know the artist off the top of my head.
Let me see. Oh, that's Copel, I think, or Oliver. No, that's Middleton.
Oh, it is a Middleton.
Yeah, Middleton. He's doing a run now on Wonder Woman. So pick that up, dude. Pick him up.
Gorgeous cover, and I got that right off the rack. I actually didn't have anything in my pull list this week. I did use that opportunity to get some grab bags, some what do they call them? The blind bags.
Yeah.
So those might actually become some giveaways on, because I didn't get anything good. Other than I did get a poster from my son.
Sorry, apologize. No, I just hit the stop video thing. We're good.
Hey, real quick before we wrap things up, on a more positive note, I guess this whole thing's been positive, but want to say thank you to everybody who has been involved with the show for 14 episodes as you're listening to this or watching this. Everyone who's jumped on board, pushed us on the different platforms. Again, continue to, if you can't, do us a favor, share the YouTube video on your social media, or tell your friends about it, text it, whatever. Because as we get closer to 100 subscribers, we've got big things coming for the show. Ooh, what we got here?
Cancel. Don't keep on talking.
Okay. But I do want to say thank you. We are now again on Anchor FM. Ooh, look at that. Is that some Scotty Young?
Nah, no. It's Daniel Warren Johnson. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite artists. Good.
So we're on Anchor.fm. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, amongst other ones. We've heard some good things about that. But now I want to say thank you. Took a couple of weeks, but is that the 5th printing now?
No, it's Thor 6, the auto variant.
Oh, okay. But we just got word, or I just got word. I don't even know if JR. Well, no, JR knows about this because he saw my social media post.
Of course, I did.
My career in radio started in 2003. As I worked at a college station in San Diego and in San Marcos, California, and I also worked for Clear Channel Communications, which is now known as iHeartRadio. I worked for a couple of radio stations, but never got to be on the air. Oh, you did get those. I saw that they were holding those for you. I never got to be on the air at any Clear Channel stations. And this past week, I got an email from the podcast department at iHeartRadio. Come to find out that Strange Academy, loving the artwork in that book. Got an email this past week saying that PS Comics I Love You got accepted to the #1 platform for podcasts, and that is iHeartRadio. You can now search us on the iHeartRadio app. The iHeartRadio app 2 is also available in most car platforms, like I think CarPlay for Apple. Yep. And Android Car for Android those Auto. Who have Android Auto. Yep. You can get the iHeart app right there on your dash. So super cool. iHeartRadio, the #1 platform for podcasts. You can now hear PS Comics I Love You. All 13 episodes in the can. Episode number 14. If it's not up by now, it's going to be. And
I got it. Actually, before you leave that, I gotta say, man, I gotta give a huge big shout out to my co-host here, Kevin Pillow, who is putting in work, dude. Like I try to do my part, man. I know I've been slacking in some portions. I apologize for that, man. But like this guy, man, he's been on that grind, man, putting us on pretty sure every single platform now, dude. So y'all can listen to us rant about just random stuff, nerd stuff. Hopefully hopefully be on the good side, the right side of history when we're talking about social justice and talking about, what should really and honestly truly matter when it comes to nerd culture and how we should be accepting of all people, as long as you get the history is right.
Yeah.
but big ups definitely to my co-host here, man. And yeah, who came to think out, man? Who would have thunk it that the thing that was starting out as like a possible thing for us to do a year ago,
right?
To talk about just nerd stuff would turn into this, man. But
we've been trying for so long to get this show off the air. We've been talking about it for so long, but now we finally got this. We're 14 episodes in, and we're now being heard on so many different platforms. And I will say this, as we on this, we are working on getting to practice our interview skills. Yeah. We are still efforting some guests. I'm going to reach out to a couple more people this week, but I think in the coming weeks we are going to do our. I think we're going to need to do an asylum episode, and we're going to need to have the chickie on. On a Zoom call.
A formal, or even like I cannot wait for our first formal sit down.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome, man. As long as we get past this pandemic, man. And yeah, if y'all didn't hear from us last week, please wear a damn mask.
Wear your damn mask. Be a superhero.
Specifically California.
Yeah, we're this close, people, to get off the naughty list.
I'm looking at you, Orange County.
Well, Riverside County was on the list too.
That too, but then.
Yeah, wear a damn mask. Hold on. I'll end on this. Give me a second. Hold up.
I'm just chilling right here. I'm just saying what's up. How y'all doing? Thank you for y'all continued support, man. For us the last couple months now, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you guys, man. We got some big things planned.
Wear a damn mask.
We have some big things. We definitely have some big things planned, guys.
Can't even put it on
now. Coming down the pipeline, we do want to do. Oh, I'm trying to keep straight face here, man. We're definitely trying to do a lot of big things to the podcast, guys. We definitely want to do a lot more to do with fan interaction. Oh, with community interactions. We definitely want to do.
Oh, I can't get that thing on now.
we definitely want to do a help me out, Kev. We definitely want to do a giveaway to y'all. I'm hoping when we hit 100 or whatever milestone we get to, man. I'm hoping we get to the point where I kind of bite myself and to give something big away.
You're gonna give away your saga #1?
Boy. If you reach a good portion number, I'll think about it.
I think it'll be all right. You ain't never giving away saga #1.
Yeah. Again, guys, you have anything to add there, Kevin?
Wear a damn mask. Guys, thank you so much for making PS Comics I Love You a thing. Enjoy your day. And once again, how
did we come to this? All right, but again, guys, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much for your support. I'm hoping the questions we asked today and the things we've said about this podcast today, we said on this podcast today, has definitely kind of opened your eyes to where we stand, and hopefully you guys support us after this, man.
Yeah, and leave your comments too. If you guys have comments about the show, I know I'm going to set up an email eventually for you guys to contact directly as the show continues to grow and there's a need for one. But right now, hit us up on, again, social media. at PS Comics I Love You on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter, it's PS Comics I Love, the letter U. Dude, send us messages and let us know what you thought about the show.
Yeah. If you thought we were wrong.
Yeah,
if you thought we were wrong, let us know. Let us know, guys.
Don't forget, subscribe, like the video, hit us a comment, hit the little bell for notifications on YouTube. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Once again, anchor.fm or the Anchor app. You can listen on the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcast, Spotify, and now the iHeartRadio app. It's PS Comics I Love You. He is JR Kambakungan, the Dark King. Also not JR Comics 42 on Instagram.
And he is
Kevin Pillow, the Voice of Reason, at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. And we will see you guys next week with something fun and new.
By the way, Cyclops?
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you.
See you guys next week. Wakanda forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick.